Hello everyone. Sorry, I don't know what happened. I guess it was an instability in the system where I tried to log in a couple times. Maybe the Zoom was out, but anyway, I'm glad that you're here.
Hi all. Good day.
Hello, everyone. Hello, it's day again.
Hello.
Hi, it's so good to have you all here. Ciao, ciao a tutti. Olá a todos. Hello, everyone. Now that these are the only languages I can speak, at least for the hi. So yeah, we are really sorry on the delay on starting today's session. We had some issues with Zoom. We were not able to log in, but at least we're here now.
That's why I'm missing Google Meeting so much. Oops, it's a recording, right? So no, I love Zoom. Zoom, I love you so much.
Yeah,
You
Angelo.
are
Yeah,
wonderful.
this girl here, she just jumps in front of me every time. So let's just ignore her. So let me share my screen so we can just review what we are going to have today. So Otávio, can you give a last look on your inbox to see if you got any, if you received any challenges?
Let me check.
I have not.
No, I did not.
Okay, so good. So shall we move
Maybe
forward?
no. I believe I don't know. Maybe if you give 30 minutes and let the people try more,
Let me open Slido again. Wait,
because being
it's
honest, I really I'd like to see people trying this.
so.
It's a technical stuff, right? So if you don't practice, it will be useless.
Give me 1 minute. I will share also the link here on the chat.
I mean, even 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Okay, all right. Not a quiz, not yet. So let me see the Discord. So create a poll. Just a second. Okay, so let me open this one and share the link with you. Actually, let me reset it. This is the previous one. Okay, reset.
And it's okay, guys. If you have a question, we are here to help. But please put in mind, if you don't practice code, you're gonna lose that skill. It's exactly like music, right? I mean, you can listen to several great musicians around the world, but if you don't stop to play, to test, and try it by yourself, you won't be a good pianist if you don't try to play piano or any kind of instrument.
I have a question.
Good.
Um, in, the task, the products should have been identified by ID, but product itself doesn't have an ID.
Yeah, on that lab, we are using the name as an ID.
Okay.
So that's why you don't see the ID.
Yes. It's a
Okay.
simple one. So no relationship, no cache, no pagination. Just a small step, then you go further with this kind of thing.
And
Basically,
you will see,
it's a on memory stuff, right, Karina?
Yeah, it's that one is using MicroStream, and that's why we don't focus on the persistence layer at this moment, but we will focus on that on the end of today's session. So you will be able to understand what's going on that persistence layer, and try some new stuff other than just JPA. So we will go with whatever the majority votes. I will give you a couple more seconds to vote. And if you don't vote, we will take the voters that stepped up. Otávio, can you change my name? I cannot find the option, and I don't know. Also,
Change my name. I don't find the option.
I find it at Zoom here, but it doesn't allow me to change it, like on the website. So we have a lot of cool stuff for today, guys. So I will allow you to keep on voting while I'm presenting the agenda. So we will start with the challenge, just so you can practice the concepts of JPA, beans validation. Oh, I'm sorry. REST, JAX-RS, and creating. Okay, what are you laughing at, Otávio? Huh?
Nothing. I'm
Okay. So we will start. So the challenge is about JAX-RS and how you can use it along with Java Beans validation. Also, you can try out the OpenAPI documentation, so you can create the state of affairs of a RESTful Java service with Helidon and MicroProfile. So after that, we are going to learn about the REST client. I don't find the option. Silly, stupid.
I know.
I just saw that. So we will go with the REST client spec, where we will learn how we can consume these endpoints that we have created using a REST client. You will have a lab to practice that. You will learn about microprofile config and why should we use it and how does it differ from the traditional way of configuring applications. Also, see all the goodies of microprofile for observability and tracing. We will learn in this topic, I will show you how this all fits together within a cloud service. So we will talk about cloud deployment and see this in action. Also on the observability topic, just because it fits nicely here to show everything together. To wrap up, we will see persistence, a lot of persistence recommendations and frameworks, ways of dealing with data persistence, either in memory or using NoSQL databases that you may have not used before, and that we want you to know that it's available and they are battle-tested tools. Also, we will give you a second day challenge. That one is pretty simple. I think it's even easier than the one that you're going to try right now. So, so let's see how that goes. And this lunch break, we can take it when we are feeling like, oh, I need a big break. So let's see when we will have that one. Okay, so we have, I want some extra time on the pool, and it's a wrap. So we will give you a couple of minutes to try out the lab, the challenge. I don't have it. Okay. No, not the review. So as you have seen, I'm pretty dynamic. So let me do this. Challenge time. Challenge time.
Challenge time.
Maybe 30 minutes. And as we go, we can just clarify any doubts you have and see if we should start before that or after. Also, don't feel pressured. So take your time, explore. Let me share the link again to it. It's this one.
Under pressure. Dum, 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 dum. No.
And the
Sorry.
lab is Golden Services, Golden Service for APIs for the Acme store. Okay, we'll be here in case you need us.
I have another question.
Please do it.
I confess I'm the one who voted for more time because I got the service running, but I didn't know. For example, yeah, I should have looked into the repository.
Don't worry, just let us know. How can we help
I
you
didn't know
out?
what ID to use for the products to search them. So okay, that's running too. I forgot what I wanted to ask.
Okay, so if you remember, let us know.
So in
If you
fact,
want to share your screen, Victory, if you want to share the
Yes.
screen and
Yeah.
ask,
Remember,
yeah,
it's a
I try to do
barcode
this. I wanted to I cloned the repository. I wanted to push to my clone and send you the URL, but because of these small questions, which now are obvious, but at that moment, for me, it's afternoon. So this morning, giving me small headaches. I haven't finished the exercise.
okay, so try finishing it up, and when the questions come up, just let us know. If you want, you can also share the screen, so it's easier for you to explain. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for trying it out. It's going to be awesome for you also.
Yeah, I like this. I like this kind of exercising. Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, it's really, really important to us. I'm glad that you enjoy. Anyway, you're able to share your screen again. Okay, don't
Yeah.
worry. We are here to help.
Now I remember my question. Sorry, Ottavio, for interrupting you. Now I remember my question.
No, you don't need to be sorry. Otavio is always making fun of
Yeah,
us.
I'm
So
talking
just
about
interrupt him.
he's
No,
here.
it's not a, don't worry.
that's
Who cares about
perfect.
me? Yeah.
Oh, come on. Oh, everybody. Us all. How to run the application from IntelliJ?
Oh, you can open the terminal. So if you get your code like this, you can
Yes.
just I think tools. Oh no, here, down here, you can see terminal there. For me, it's option F12. You probably have command or alt.
Yes, yes.
And then you will
I'm
already
running all the time. I'm running all the time the jar, and I wondered how could I start this directly, the application directly from IntelliJ for debugging and so on.
No, you can. I don't think you can do that.
Okay.
Maybe to
No,
debug
yes.
a Helidon service, you would need to I think I never did debugging with IntelliJ, or maybe I did in the past. You need to connect. You probably have debugged with Eclipse when you need to connect to external service on the JBoss. Probably the same process.
I probably would have to activate the agent, the debug agent. I was too lazy.
Yes, all those stuff.
I was too
But do you
lazy to
really need
look in.
debugging? What is do you want help?
I had, for example, I tried to share my screen, but
Okay,
I
it's because
hope
I'm
it's
sharing.
not
Go
too.
ahead, go ahead.
I hope it's not to share and to share the proper screen. It's asking desktop 1, desktop 2, sharing. Oh, Zoom, security, blah, 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 system settings. It will take 1-2 minutes more because I need to allow Zoom to access my
No rush, no
my
rush.
screen.
Take your time.
Oh, here it is. Finger, okay. I have to log out and rejoin, sorry, because else Zoom won't have permissions, receive permissions.
Please don't ask if Otavio can
Okay.
accept to win. You already know the
Okay.
answer, right?
Okay.
So I'll make sure he will
The
get
answer
to
is
win.
no, of course. See you in a minute. So I'll try to share my screen. Desktop 2. Share.
So I give you a power to share a screen. So, oh yeah, right now.
Can you see something? Is it too large, too small?
Oh, it's too small. I
It's
mean,
too small. Okay, I'll do something for.
Wow, you
to-
probably have a pretty big screen there, Victor.
It's.
Oh,
I confess,
yeah.
it's the first time I've used this combination because in my daily job I'm bound to a encrypted laptop, my current project,
Oh,
and
gotcha.
on the Mac I haven't tried this yet. Just
So
yesterday we have
I see you
exercised.
are
So
using a Mac. So I would like to
yes.
recommend you this software. So take a look at it later, not now. I have typed on the chat, Mosaic. This is the best thing I use here to make sure I always have the proper layout stuff for the stuff that I need when I'm presenting. So take a look later. So
What
let
is-
us know.
what is
Like,
this?
you, I
Please.
think if you, I think you
I'm
can.
curious, Karina. Please explain a little bit more about what is that.
It's a software that allows me to position my screen, my applications in a layout within my big screen easily. So it's pretty simple, especially for those who need to present the screen. But anyway, so maybe can you try holding the command key and scrolling? Oh, but we can already read it. Don't worry. Okay, so we
yeah,
see.
how is it now, Ottavio?
Yeah, we can read it.
Better. Now you can see.
It's better. I can increase the font with.
No, it's okay like this
No, it's
now.
okay.
Increase it. Okay, thank you.
How is it? Yes. Okay. And the terminal. I wanted also the terminal. The terminal.
Oh, option F12. No, you don't need that. Just in the cancel that. Cancel this terminal.
Yes.
Now type option F12.
Option. Oh yes, for the terminal.
Okay, so now you can try there, so we
Let's see
can
what
see
I
everything in the
tried.
same screen.
Yeah. Okay. What I've. The history is shared. Very good. So I'm having following issue. What I did was, let's address this.
Oh, you need to
Yeah,
kill all
I
the
have
other.
to stop the previous one.
So
Yeah,
just do
sorry.
a kill all -9 Java, and then you kill everything without any problems. That's the brutal way of doing stuff. Don't do that at home, guys. This is not safe.
It's nice to see because I have no idea about it. I mean,
Kill all -9 Java. You never use that?
no. I don't need it because Linux is so stable.
I
I'm
bet
kidding.
that
I'm kidding.
Linux doesn't allow you to start two applications at the same socket. So please cut that out. Go ahead, Victor.
So I was wondering what I was doing here. So the issue I had was with update. So how to demonstrate that I'm best demonstrated? I was I don't want this full screen stuff because it's easier to share the windows like this, and then here increase wrong direction, mouse direction. So so I'm getting this the Swagger UI or Open API, yeah, UI, and there's an issue sometimes if I press Command R, some socket close exceptions occur, but this is yeah, this is Helidon stuff. Maybe don't know. The implementation is not
So this happened
complete
when you
yet.
try to invoke the API?
When I'm trying to invoke, this is running on 8181, and I can't clear the screen, but let's do, and now I'm pressing Command R for reload the page once. Okay, and you see, I just pressed only once, and this Helidon web server socket close exception response channel is closed. So it occurs suspiciously often. I would have expected this to this error to occur on only with high load, but okay.
Does this happen when you try to access the endpoint, like slash on the browser?
Only until now, only when I
only with the Open API.
Exactly, yeah.
What is your Java version?
So,
11?
11, yes. I've adjusted yesterday the default in the
That
past.
is curious. Can you copy and send me this tag trace so that I can just do some search on it?
Sure. How should I send it? Email or?
Can you still use the page?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe some bug.
It's a curious issue.
Yeah,
yes.
maybe it's a bug on the API itself, but I will give it a look. You can just create a file and send it over via email, maybe, or I don't know if you can share files here. So email would be good for me and Otavio. Let me share our emails.
Else I'll email it. Text edit, new document. I'm saving this for later, and I'll send it in the next break, if it's fine for you. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, please.
So we concentrate on this. So posting, yes. Is it large enough for everybody? That's the font?
Yeah, it's good to me.
Okay, so bad request. Quantity must be default language German. Default quantity, it was not large enough. Bam, created one product. Let's create some yellow lemon, 11 lemons. Mass transportation bus, 55 buses. Individual transportation car. So 110 cars. And an error occurred. Why? Invalid token end of comma.
I guess it's missing the brace, isn't it?
I broke the JSON. Thanks. Okay, so created. Now canceling, collapsing, list all, try it out, execute. All four are here. Perfect. And now, thanks to your hint from before, now I can go below and query for a product. For example, lemons. It's here. Great. Now it comes the point where I asked myself, how could I debug this? The update, in the beta state, API. So it's a, what was it? Lemon. And now execute. Oh, Wait. Lemon, yellow stuff. Now I'm sour like lemons.
So did it work?
Looks like it did work. No,
I
it didn't
love
work.
when people
No.
show stuff and suddenly it starts working. I love it.
No, it didn't work. It's lemons are still yellow, not yellow stuff. Let's try again. Lemon. Let's make 12 out of them because somebody returned a.
Can you search based on the ID? Did you implement the search by ID already?
Yes.
Can you try that out?
So this issue is code issue. Like everyone, at least I can speak for myself. I got the same issue. The updates don't work. But it's okay. It's just a concept. Like we
Yes.
don't.
In previously, I did the following in the update endpoint. I implemented a. Oh, that's even nicer. First I tried to find the product in the repository, throwing an exception if the product is not there, and then to save it and return the saved product. And when I wanted to ask my question, my product was not found. So it went always in the if block in the not found. But now obviously it's not an issue. I didn't know on the
Okay.
in the hurry. I didn't know how to debug it, so I tried to
Yeah, that's terrible.
print line.
Yes. What I usually do is use unit tests. I mean, right now, I will make Karina happier right now, but so far, the one that's around microprofile that has more support to integration tests is Quarkus.
Mhm.
And I usually do work around with more unit tests, and these integration tests with the container test, the test container, where I build a container and then ramp up the application and test the API.
There are other ways of doing unit tests also, like using the other test frameworks, starting with JUnit, enhanced by other stuff like Humcrest and stuff.
No,
But
but that's the point, Karina. To integration, yes, you're gonna use
yeah, but
JUnit
he's not trying
with.
to test integration. He's just testing the endpoint, and you can do easy tests for
Okay.
endpoints
Can I
without
say something?
configuring and stuff. But test containers is pretty much used, yes, when you have to test, like when, for example, when we are creating the REST client demo, if we wanted to test that, for sure, test containers would be really useful. Also, if you have an application that needs to use database and stuff. So one thing that I saw here on my solution, Victor, is that my Open API is not properly documented for the put. So I am not receiving the request body as you are there, but I will test it via curl just to make sure that it's also not working via curl, okay?
Hey, can I say something?
Yes, please.
So the first question which Victor asked, how do I run this application from IntelliJ? We can make that work. Can you go back to IntelliJ, Victor?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, go to the terminal and kill this application first. do Control-C.
Yep, done.
Okay. Now go to, I cannot see that far in your IntelliJ, but there should be on top right, like add a run configuration.
Okay.
Go to build or run and edit
Yes,
configuration.
I have to stop the. Yeah, no, I'm staying in. I'm keeping the presentation mode enabled and run edit configurations. Yes, I'm there.
Can you maximize it? I cannot see. Add new.
Add new
Yeah. Look for a jar application.
jar application.
Yeah. And now
And add
like,
command
name it something.
line parameters. Yes.
Yeah. Name it something which you can remember. Like they put it like Acme run configuration.
Yes.
Yeah. And just use the target jar.
We are Acme store rest target and the jar file. I have selected the jar file.
Yeah. On the name, no, don't click OK yet. On the name, click
Yes.
write something relevant name.
Yeah.
Something which you, because you don't have one
Acme.
application, you have multiple. Yeah, that's fine. And now say apply OK. And now you should be able to run this application, debug it or run it.
Okay.
Give it a try.
Oh, by the way, I just noticed my microphone is open. So thank you, Otavio, for not letting me know. I'm just here eating stuff and everyone is listening to me chewing stuff. But so let me tell you, I have tried it on my side and I saw some interesting things that I would like to share and also to bring Otavio into the page. So I will let you finish the discussion that you are having on the debugging. That is pretty interesting. And then we can move on to this thing that I saw.
How can I have? So we had some thanks for this this hint with the run configuration because it's running. I've seen the debugging agent is activated. Cool, thanks. Learn something new. I didn't know that run configurations in IntelliJ have this option for jar files. Cool, thanks. And we have had here at the end some insert a new product. So I'm just copying this command shift command function 12, Karina.
Oi, option. Yeah, option F12.
Option F12.
Yeah, but what do you want to do? Open another terminal?
Open another terminal.
You
like
can
this.
just click on the
Yes.
terminal itself and open new session.
And
yeah, I tested it here. I think it is related to the persistence layer. So let's use your debugging to do this test. So yes. You can I have a you can just change it to put up there.
Okay, so I've saved two products. I'm fetching the products. You can see these are here.
Yes. Now let's try updating it. On the request that you did the post, change the word post for put. On the terminal itself.
I'm having a put.
No, yeah, here.
Okay. I understand what you mean.
Yeah, something like this.
I'm sometimes a bit.
Don't worry. I also have some communication challenges on my side.
Quantity let's say 32,
20, yeah.
42, yes.
Okay. You need to
So,
change with post. You didn't change. It's post, so you added a new one. You need to change with put.
if I've added a new one.
Okay, didn't add and
Okay,
also didn't
okay.
update. So change with put. Let's see.
Yes. But I have to add a new command line parameter for
Put
No.
with only one T.
On the URL slash.
on the URL
slash car.
slash car. And only one T, exactly. Now you see it's.
But the debugging didn't work. It didn't stop on the thing there, or did it?
It also didn't.
Can I try on my side?
So it's the debug window is here, and indeed it didn't stop.
Can I try on my side?
Of course.
I can only share if you stop sharing.
If I'm stopping sharing, okay, sure.
Mhm.
So
Let's take a look at that.
last try. No, it didn't enter the breakpoint. And stopping sharing is. I hate.
Yeah, I'm not used to working with Zoom also, so don't worry. I also
Yeah,
have
and
some troubles with
this
this.
German names. I think I stopped the sharing.
You did not.
I did not. I interrupted it. Ah,
No, you're able to see a screen right now.
here, this is the red one. I have to press. Yes,
Okay.
now I stopped it.
So I have the solution up and running here, and the update is also not working. So let me try adding the debug. We'll actually add it here. Aqui, and aqui means here, by the way. So run. Opa, not profile.
Opa,
So,
aqui.
Opa, yeah, debugging. No, debug. No, where did you go to debug it? I forgot it.
Debug.
Okay, on
Have
run?
you created a run configuration? Edit
No.
configurations. Edit
Okay.
configurations.
Okay. Yeah, I remember now.
Jar.
Also, okay. Oh my God, I have to put the, okay, I have the working directory. It's probably going to get it already,
And
right?
pass to the jar. You have to select the jar first.
Ah, okay. Opa.
Opa.
Opa. So here's my jar. Let me start it. I have to have the full directory, right?
Target slash acme blah blah should be enough.
Ah, okay. Let's see. Let's do jar. Yeah, I have to have it full here. Okay.
And I guess the name is also important, as Ash said.
The name is as long as unique. Karina, you have the working directory wasn't the one of your module.
Wasn't
this is
it?
why wasn't it? Acme, and you see it. But this is the solution.
Yeah,
you're working on the solution already. Okay.
Yeah, because I want to see if this is not working as well. So let me try the put. Okay, so let's see. Where's my debugging option here? Wait. Tools.
You've started
Gosh, it looks like I never even debugged in here, and I have done this in the past.
You have to stop the application at the terminal first. This
Really? It
Control
should have
C.
attached to the existing process. I don't think it
No, he
is.
press Control C in the terminal.
Ah, I see. I have to run using it. Okay,
Yes.
okay. Got it.
Nice. I don't remember the last time that I did it. I mean,
No,
Yeah,
but
this
you
is,
need to run in debug mode.
yeah, this is not the way that okay. This is
Yeah,
not the way
stop
that
there,
I have
go
done
to
it in
top
the
right.
past.
There is a debug.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is not the way I have done this in the past. This is a nice learning for me. Thank you for the tip. So let me do the curl again. Actually, I have to do the post. So I will save a water. Okay. Opa. Water, there's no type, no expire date. And description name, water, and quantity. This one. No, 8081. This is the demo from yesterday. Sorry. Products. Okay, so we stopped in here.
Oh,
Let me
it stopped.
skip this. Yeah, let me skip this. Nice, it has saved. So let me do the get. So if I just do this, I have the water, it's one. So let me now do the put. Now you change the water to this. So Otavio, now is where we get to the point, okay? So we are here on the persistence layer, and it has invoked the save method. It received the water with a proper quantity that I have sent. And I check, let's see. Let me remember the shortcut because I don't like using these buttons. So F8. So it's not null, nice. And then we are adding the product to the product set, Otavio. So maybe because it already exists, it's not updating. Isn't that what's happening?
Probably, yeah.
it should replace with the node one. Let's run again.
So look, quantity, that's what I'm trying to do. And now F8. And now if I check the products, it's still one. So it doesn't update.
Wow, it's keeping the old one. Ouch.
Yeah.
I know. I see.
Okay,
So
guys, so
basically
this
need
is
to
not,
check the set one where it's replaced with the newest one. Basically, it was a trick.
so guys, this is not your fault. This is something on the persistence layer.
It's our fault.
It's nobody's fault. It's just a lesson, in my opinion. Learn something new. Everybody learns something.
We created the lab. So this is actually a good thing for us, Otavio. Let me put this as an issue on the repository so we can address this later. The good thing is that thank you guys so much for checking this out and for noticing that this is happening. Okay, we will fix this as soon as we can. So let me check here, GitHub. So whichever issues that you find, by the way, you can also help us by reporting here. So let me put it here. Issues, new issue, Acme Golden API challenge. Just a second. So let me pick this up. No, it's not on the labs, it's on the foundation. Guys, aren't you paying attention? Oh gosh. Foundation. Okay. So let me get this key. And by the way, this is a nice thing for you to do when you are working with open source projects. You can always do this no matter which project you are working on. It might even be Helidon. Acme Store, and then I have this, and then I have the repository, and then I can click here and click Shift, and then I can copy the
Karina,
link.
I guess
Oi.
once you have time, maybe if you do it together, what do you think?
later on the microstream phase? What do you think?
Because how long time do we have to finish
But we
it?
shouldn't do this now because it's out of the scope, Otavio. Let's do that on the
Okay,
persistence section. What do you think? Because we will be explaining microstream anyway, so we can just fix this.
okay, okay. This makes
Sounds
sense.
like a good idea.
Yes, I don't have option here, right?
You do.
No, you don't give me options, so go do it.
Okay.
Opa.
Opa. So whenever you are reporting an issue, this is a recommendation from someone who has received so many reportings for open source projects. This is something you must always do if you really want to get help from the open source communities, okay? You must always tell people how to reproduce the error that you are reporting. So always do this. This will make their lives easier, and this will make them want to help you more because they don't have to find out how to reproduce the error that you are reporting. They can simply follow your steps, fix the issue, and then give you the answer, or even send the fix to the project. So post, get, put, and get again. Okay, nice. So this was cool. This was a different challenge review today. I like it a lot. So do you know when the recording max? They are planning to send the recording in 2 days or 3 after the session finishes, okay? And guys, do you have other questions or problems that you have faced in the lab? Did you try the other APIs and did it work? How did it go? Let us know.
I was so that was the point where I stopped at the update at find by ID and update. I haven't tried yet the delete endpoint. So that's my my status.
So let's do this. We can give you like 10 more minutes just to wrap up the final tests of your application, and then we can get started with the content. On the next lab, the REST client lab is pretty simple because it's not a challenge. It's just a step-by-step lab, an exercise like step-by-step. So if you finish it first, like then others, you can also use this time to finish the tests on the lab. And the good thing is that when doing the REST client service, you can even connect to your service that you created on the lab instead of trying to do this lab in here. Because this lab will connect to the restaurant's app. It's not going to connect to the Acme store. If you want to go one step further and try out your knowledge like at the limit, you can start from scratch. Instead of connecting to restaurants, you can connect to products and try out your service. That's another way you can try it out also, okay? So what do you think, Otavio? Shall we start right now or give them just 10 more minutes to wrap up their final tests?
10 more minutes. I guess it's fine, right?
Let's see. In order to reach debug Helidon projects. Pretty cool.
It's exactly that was the right spot. Sorry, my dogs are.
MicroProfile. Look at this. Interesting. Thank you for sharing. Learning and learning. I always learn something new. Pretty cool. So this was pretty awesome. Thank you so much for the great
why
discussion.
I love classes. I mean, the person who more learn here, trust me, are Karin and I. I mean, we learn more than you think.
Every time we learn something new, that is true.
When
So
teachers, yes.
Great. We are pretty happy that you used this time to actually try it out, and we could learn new stuff together also, and also identify an issue with the lab itself. So, wow, super productive. Thank you so much. Let's move forward. Resume the recording. It's always recording. We never stop the recording. Thank you, Ezequiel. So let's go ahead. Shall we talk about REST client?
No, why?
And remember, whenever Otavio says no, he's saying yes. And if he says yes, it's also yes.
Okay. Okay, let me share my screen. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Yes, I mind. You cannot. See,
Okay.
see, now you see how it goes. Go ahead.
Revenge is not one thing cool, Karina. Just to be clear, it's specific to you. It destroy your mind and your heart. Don't do that.
I'm waiting. You can share the screen.
Okay. So guys, I'm here. Okay, I forgot the resume. I still have issues to see the comment here. Basically, the first step here is remember the micro profile
No,
philosophy where
wait. Like, first you need to explain what is REST client. Is it a specification and implementation? What is it? What is it for?
okay. Do you have the okay, let me go. Good point, good point.
Go ahead,
Go,
go ahead, go ahead, blah, blah, blah. Slide number 65. Yeah,
This one here.
yeah.
So yesterday, Karina explained about the configuration, right? She did a good review and she went deep. And remember, what you have right now in the Java environment are consistent about specification. We do have Java, the platform, the SE, the standalone platform, where we have JCP under Oracle company, where we have several companies. It's a specification. It's handled by GSR, Java Request Specification, and small details are JAVs, where we have the API, the specification, and the reference implementation that is the OpenJDK. In Java EE, right now it's become Jakarta EE, we have the exact same thing, by the way, with almost the same companies. Indeed, we have more. But still, we have the API, the specification, and then the implementation, and the TCK. And the microprofile, we have a pretty similar idea about it. And Karina explained about the configuration, that one specification that belongs to Eclipse microprofile. And we also have this specification that belong as well to REST clients, where we, by the way, we had a discussion 1 hour before our class began to talk about if this one should go to Jakarta EE or should keep in on microprofile. But
So that's
anyway,
interesting. So just notice that this is one of the specifications and features that you can adopt in these cloud native services that are based on microprofile, but you do not have yet this spec as part of the Jakarta EE platform, for example. So all these discussions are always ongoing, and everyone is welcome to join in the community lists to see what's going on.
yes. And we, as technical person, is mandatory to us to every meetings, discussion that we have, to publish that discussion publicly to everybody knows what's happening. But anyway, returning REST client is one specification. So allow me to show the idea of REST client. We have several couple ideas to communication, right? So we publish the API using JAX-RS, but right now I need to consume some microservices as well, right? It's not just about produce, but consume, do integration, orchestrations, and so on. To make it possible, it's a silly simple one, mainly because you don't have enough time to cover everything. It's basically one sample from the starters of Eclipse MicroProfile, where we have two services, where one will consume another one. We have the service A and service B. Okay. Here we can see the beauty of MicroProfile. We're able to integrate. So basically, this guy here is a client service where it will receive a get with a parameter and will process some information and return. That is basically the service. Okay. And the service A is our client who will consume and then move it forward. So I have my client controller that we're gonna request the server. But how, Otávio? With the service. What is the service? It's basically an interface where we are able to connect our microservice or any different microservice with Java. Just use the interface. The main idea here, instead of do programmatically, you're able to just put an interface and the implementation will create every single detail to us. Okay, the controller that we use the service is basically an interface. But hey, Otávio, how can I define the address of the service, right? Because I have my cat here, but I should have a host. We have the beauty of MicroProfile because we're able to work together with these specifications. As you can see here, I have my client name class, my qualified, MP REST, and then the URL. Okay, so basically this one here will run locally, and that is it. So I have the service A to a client, service B to a server, and let's run both to see this little guy in action. I will do the clean package. I will skip the test as good practice. So, right, we always should ignore the test. So I will run the demo here. Hey, Otávio, don't remember the step by step. Don't worry. It provides a documentation. So MVN clean package, how to run the jar, and this kind of thing. Here, I will have a different port. So 8180. So what did it run here? Oh, MVN. Oops. It should be java.jar, right? Yeah, maybe I drank too much. Sorry. Right now we have the service B, and then we will go to service A. It will be basically the same thing. So as you can see here, the package, the jar, and I have a different port here. So 8080, another one is 8180. I will do the clean package and java-jar target demo, where I will compile package and then execute. So as you can see here, I have my client endpoint. No, this one here. I have my client endpoint, right? Where I have my client, my test, and the parameter value. If you remember, I will consume. I will put something, a decorator of this parameter here. So if I put Karina, it will process the value parameter Karina. Oops, not you, not you. Karina, the best. So basically, what did I do? I come here in my service A, request the service that is an interface, define the address by configuration properties. Remember, it follows the principle of the two-factor application. Therefore, I'm able to override those configuration. Okay. Now you get out. And this service will consume the service B, or it's basically a formatter of string. And that is it. So let's pull the date today. Hopefully it will work, but who knows? I will stop here. I will compile and then do this kind of thing and then execute. Take a little bit of time. Hopefully it's working. And then when I do current is the best. Right now I have my time of today. So July 60th. So basically it's the idea of the client. So right now, instead of do programmatically, I'm able to use the interface. That's, by the way, is one of the reasons that we are talking about Jakarta data. Because as you can see here, my client doesn't know where this data comes from, right? It's just an interface. Hey, Octavio, it might return from uh, from relational database with JPA. Yes, it might return from NoSQL with NoSQL. Yes, with REST client. Yes. The highlight here is I don't need to know. I don't need to care about it. So that is the idea, the exact idea about Jakarta data. It looks like the REST client one. Okay, is there any question about it?
Oh. If there are no questions, you might have questions when you go and try out the labs. So let me share the link for the lab. It's the same link you have. And there is a lab called creating a client service with microprofile REST client. And we will give you some time to do and try this out by yourself, okay? So let me share that poll that we all already know so we can track the lab progress. Just a second. Hey, everyone. Currently, we have a couple of people on the call and only 2 voters. So if you are around, make sure you vote so we know who was doing the lab, how's the progress, and if you decide to do it later, it's not a problem. But we recommend you use this time to try it out, if you can, of course. So make sure you vote and let us know. I'll share again the link on the chat. All right. Let's get back. So I saw during some period someone was stuck. Does someone wants to comment on the lab, or shall we move forward? And then you can wrap it up later on when we move on to another exercise time.
It was me, Victor, which had some
Victor,
issues.
my favorite attendee so far. Tell me, but could you sort it out?
The one with issues, at some point, the client project was behaving strangely, and 2 classes were in the wrong packages. The field property visibility strategy and
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, Otavio, do you want to explain about that? We didn't cover that yesterday because the time was super restricted. So, Otavio, do you want to cover this thing here? Let me share. Not in here. You know what I'm talking about? Let me
It was
show
just
you.
a Java error. Sorry to interrupt you. It was just a
No, it's
Java error.
okay.
The
It's a
package
Java error.
declaration, the package
Uh-huh.
declaration, the class was wrong.
Oh, really? Do you want to
Yeah.
send a Do you want to send a pull request?
I will
accepting
do
pull
this. I
request.
will do this.
Woohoo! Yeah, I
Good.
love it. We will get a contributor, the first contributor. I knew it. I knew it for the guy. So let me quickly show this actually, because we didn't have the time to cover it yesterday. And you will see it throughout many of the labs, and you might not understand why we have that. So this is what I'm talking about, Otavio, that I want you to quickly cover, like just a glance of this thing in, opa, not here. Opa, aqui,
Opa.
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 In the infra, we have this field property visibility. Do you want to talk about it? I will stop sharing my screen.
No, go ahead. Field proper visibility. Ooh, no, you can keep sharing your screen. If you wish, of course. The main idea here is, okay, by default, the JSON needs to have a getter and setter. However, uh, if you have an entity that's also serializable by JSON, you don't want to lose your encapsulation. And hopefully we post the idea that getter and setter is a good way to have this kind of thing, right? So sometimes we are able to lose encapsulation just doing getter and setter a couple times. To avoid it, we have this field property visibility strategy that allows the framework to use the field instead of only the method. So basically what's gonna see here, if it has a method, Karina, please go to the item one.
To the what?
The item entity class, the item class. As you can see, we have a private and going down, going down, going down, look down, look down. As you can see, we don't have setters here. The main reason is I don't want to have people setting the information here, but my framework needs to serialize that information somehow. How can I do that if without the setter? Use the field
Oh, yeah, you remember now. So when we are
by
sending
reflection.
when we are sending in the JSON data, we don't have the setters. We don't have also the constructor. Do we have a constructor? We don't have a
This
constructor.
one here, I guess we does.
No, just an update. Get
Ah,
name.
yeah.
So that this is interesting because how can the automatic convert marshalling from a JSON to an object to a real class occur in this case? It's because of JSON B, right, Otavio? And this field property visibility strategy that is in here, correct?
Yes, exactly. Because by default, it requests a podio, a plain old Java object. Therefore, a private field with several getters and setters. We don't want to lose encapsulation. How can we solve it? Use the field property visibility strategy. It's a single interface that we put in the item. Could you mind if you go to the item again? Where we define this strategy here to JSON visibility. So basically, if I don't put it, you look only to get the setter. Once I put inside, okay, please also check it out the field as well. So he's able to use the field.
So in this simple RESTful application, you are already using multiple specs. So you use JSONB, you use JAX-RS, you used OpenAPI, you use beans validation, CDI. I think all of these one, if I'm not missing any of them, you're using all of these specifications on top of Helidon. And if you were to change this application to another vendor, you could easily do that because you're not doing anything that is Helidon exclusive here. So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good fact.
So as you see, we are pretty much sharing a lot of knowledge on how you can build applications without any vendor lock-in, even though this is a Helidon course. So what is the point? The point is to teach you that there are many vendors out there. Helidon is one of the tools provided by one of these vendors that implements the specification. Therefore, you can create amazing Java applications on top of this vendor. Then if you are one of the people who is a decision maker and you need to select which tool you are going to use in your organization, what you can do, what can you do? You can implement an application, the same application in multiple frameworks, then test the performance, do some load testing, and just validate the requirements for your service, right? Do you want to add anything, Otavio, or shall I move forward? Or does anyone have any questions?
Oh, please, if you have a question, please let us know. So if you go, even my secret is go check out the domain. So Karina, could you mind if you go to the imports? So as you can see here, we have the Javax JSON. So everything under the JSON belongs
bind,
to
because there's also
bind.
JSON-P, right?
Yes, exactly. And validation belongs to being validation. And so on. Please don't mind if you go to controller. So WRX, web service, RESTful, and inject, yes,
Validation.
and enterprise context.
So one thing here, Otavio, that I want to move out of this training scope for a second, because someone shared this interest in the beginning of the course, and maybe even if this person is not here now, if the person is going to watch the recording later on, this person asked.
Hello, person watching us.
So the person asked from we are in the past now. In the past again.
Somebody will watch us. Hello.
So yeah, let's stop just going all over the place. So someone asked, how can I move my applications to after the Big Bang if I have a lot of Javax to the new package, right? So do you have any tips on this?
Cry? No? Just cry?
Não, Otávio, é sério. Come on.
Sorry. You mix Portuguese and English, so I need to talk serious right now. Sorry, guys. There is a tool that belongs to Tomcat. That is this kind of migration where you're able to do it automatically. Jakarta migration from Apache. Tomcat has this beautiful tool here. Yes, this one here. It is the version you are able to use the replace. There are several ways to do it, as script or something like that. Probably if you did the migration between JUnity 4 and Jupyter, that's the Unity 5, you need to do the exact same thing. You need to update the qualified imports, right? So it's basically the same. So it has a similar script to make it possible.
So it's a script that is going to rename the packages?
Yes, basically it will look in your code, move everything instead of Javax, you be Jakarta, and then move this result in another place.
Ah, okay, cool. So
and
yeah.
I remember I prefer to use IntelliJ one because it's like as movement.
There's a tool or is just the browser? Oh, the IDE, I'm sorry.
Yes, I remember there is a guide here. So yes, this one here, the second one. Oh, you lost.
Let me
go back, please. This one here, migrating from Javax to Jakarta. So no. Anyway, I would look.
It's no, but look, it's interesting. It's a guided exercise also. it tells like all the details, setting the scene, updating Tomcat, updating dependencies, IntelliJ IDEA. There's videos. Cool, nice tip. Thank you, Otavio.
Yes, I used this one here. And if you want, you can do manually, but trust me, it's not a good thing. Or even create your shell script where you're able to replace all the imports. The issue is when you have static import or import directly and in the codes, my advice is use those ones. So Tomcat and IntelliJ and be happy with that.
Okay, so now with this being said, we can move on to the next topic. And after we cover this session, like this section of the training, we will have the long break and then we will get back, okay? So, all right, let me just make sure I deleted stuff here that I was trying out. When I do this, can you see the screen of the videos, like the webcam, Otavio?
Yeah, I can see.
In my screen?
Not your screen, but I can see.
But I'm asking if you can see the Zoom window on top of the
No.
slides.
Just the.
Oh,
the
Zoom is so weird. Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, sometimes I lost myself as well on it.
Let me share the whole desktop instead of just this thing. Okay, share.
I mean, mainly the issue with the autocomplete, right? That's supposed to show everything, but for some reason it shows a piece of the, you know.
Let me just double check something here real quick before we go ahead. Okay, we are good to go. Fine. So let's take a look at the microprofile config. This one is pretty quick and pretty simple. And for microprofile config and for observability, not this break, this is not here. Don't worry about it. Microprofile config and observability, I will be using the same demos application just to make things simpler, okay? So what is microprofile config spec? This specification allows us to deliver, to implement and adopt good practices that comes from a long time ago on the 12 factor, how, I wanna know 12 factor manifesto date. When was this created?
It was based on a 2001 book.
2001?
Yes. That's
Okay.
why we keen in with the cloud native approach. And right now, about it, no, cloud native is related to the 12 factor
Something
application.
new,
However,
something super innovative. Oh my gosh.
this book is even older than Amazon AWS.
Yeah, it only shows the latest update on 17. So, wow, interesting. Okay, so the 12-factor app, as you note, says a lot about good practices on your that you can adopt to deliver good code, good services. One of them is storing configurations in the environment, not in your service. And what does that mean? You are pretty much aware that if I get my application and I have my database configured in this file right here, if I configure my database here, or even like the port or whatever I have here, if I configure it here and I deploy on development environment, and then I move on to the UAT environment, we don't use the same database on multiple environments, right? For each environment, we have a different database. So we should connect to a different database. Therefore, the applications should use different configurations. In the application server world, it's kind of easier because you will configure that on the application server, and the application will use the configurations that resides in the application server. Remember when we configure data sources and such, we still configure data sources here as well, But in the microprofile world, this configuration, the service is self-contained. So everything it needs will belong within itself. So during the development time, like on my local machine, I might be using a database that is running here with a Docker container, with a different connection setting that I would have in other environments. So I could have some development, some, let's say, temporary, some development properties configured here. But as I deploy the same application in another environment, I want to be able to change this code, right? These configurations. So how can I do that? In order to do that, microprofile config allows us to externalize these configurations by adding them to this file called microprofile config properties. And here we have two examples of properties. One is the injected value and the other one is the value only. And these properties are used in my code. So if I look at this, Karina, I will never remember this. This was generated by the microprofile starter. So just go ahead and generate a new application and you will get it there, okay? So, okay, don't ask again. Okay, so we have this controller exposed on the config path. And this, my property injected value can be used here through injection. So I can use CDI with MP config. So I inject, let me just mute my phone for a second. I can just inject a, just a second. So when I inject the property, I will use this annotation, config property, say which is the name of the property that I'm injecting, and then it will be available in a variable. So I can get whatever value is configured in here in this variable, and then use it as I want. So here, for example, I can invoke the injected path, like /config/injected path, to see which is the injected value. So let me change this for a second and have Ezekiel and Ott. Not Ezekiel, Garcia and Ott. And let me save this. Let me start this application. Helidon Dev. Uh-oh, what is wrong with it? My Java. The reason why I don't have my Java set by default is because I work with many different versions and offerings of the JVM, so I need to constantly change it. So I just decide to export it every time. Okay. So I should be able to access my application. And then I can go to, wait, this is not the application, is this cache? Okay, let me see. Let me see if I'm in the right place. A4J, day 2, observable service. Yes, I am. Helidon build. Helidon dev, just to make sure everything is okay. Up to date, okay, starting. Weird. Let me see if this, yeah, it was cache. Okay, now we have the right application. All these links are created as boilerplate code on the MP starter page. And if I open the /config/injected, I can see my property here changing according to the property configuration file, okay? So I have config value injected by CDI, Garcia, and Ott. On the other hand, we also have another way to use these properties, that is by using the lookup. So when we use lookup, we can use the config provider and get the value directly referring the name of the property. So this is the property name, value, and we have here value. And then I'm just going to return it. So if I open here lookup, we have here the lookup value. That is this thing in here, okay? Otavio's lookup value. So let's see if Helidon Dev is going to pick this up. Okay, it picked it up. So we see the value here. Karina, you were talking about externalizing these things. We will see it in action when I deploy this on a cloud service, okay? Questions so far?
Yeah, remember, the good point here is about security. Otavio, it's not just a small properties. Okay, small properties are able to do, but think more about a security or credential. One thing that I'm testing is when you have like a huge query, instead of put the whole stuff inside the code base, we are looking to use something else, like a property, something like that. Be honest, I don't have the right solution to handle that. We are facing two ways. One is to uh, create view, materialize views, or think about put this kind of huge queries inside a properties file or something like this.
Exactly. So give me 1 minute real quick to fill in my glass of water because it's finished and I need it because I am going to talk a lot right now and starting observability. So give me 2 minutes, okay, real quick. So let me just put this here. It won't take long, real quick, just to fill in my glass of water.
If you want, I can talk about the fault tolerance stuff while you're loading.
I prefer just to go and pick it up. It's real quick. I'm just going to fill in my glass. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Now I have not only my water, but also a backup. So this is gonna last a lot, I hope. So let's go for it. Observability. This is a super cool topic when we are talking about microservices, because when we have microservices, remember, we might end up with something like this. Where is that? Remember, we might end up with something crazy, like this here. So when we end up with something like this and something goes wrong, how do we know is the one that is giving us trouble? Which is the service that is going slow? If I have on the same service some metrics that I want to collect in order to measure how things are going, how do I do that? How do I expose these metrics in a proper and recommended way? Also, how can I know now we are talking about distributed services, okay? So if I have a distributed operation, an operation that goes across multiple microservices until it actually finishes, how do I know what is going on in this span of time? How do I trace this operation and know which is which operations in this let's say transaction is not a transaction, so in between like free quotes in this transaction, which of the operations is taking more time, right? Also, if I'm deploying this in a containerized environment, I'm probably using a container orchestrator like Kubernetes or other flavors of Kubernetes that will require some ways, yes, I will say standard ways, because it's the way that it expects these services to be able to communicate with it. So if it is going to track something, does your application allow it to track? Can it actually do all the capabilities that it is able to do on a container based on real metrics of your service? For example, let's say our service cannot connect to the database for whichever reason. Should it actually be answering requests from the users, from the final users? It shouldn't. Maybe it should just be killed or another page should be displayed, whatever. This is not now. In the past, this used to be responsibility of the op teams, changing some Apache configurations or changing your application server configurations. But today it's all automatic on top of a Kubernetes platform. So let's see how we can deal with all of this, starting with observability. And then after this section and after the break, we will also see about fault tolerance, which is about creating reliable services. On the observability topic, we can see that we have three main things to cover. Let me grab my pointer. Opa, not this.
Opa.
Opa. Okay. So I have the microprofile metrics to help me observing would be the best word, and exposing metrics that can be scraped and then displayed in nice dashboards. I have open tracing spec to help me tracing distributed transactions, distributed operations. And I have the health check specification that helps with the observability of the service health. We will understand better what that means. On the metrics world, we have three types of metrics. I think we have a couple more, but these are the most important, which is the gauged. So these are the annotations that you can use to actually create or track some metrics. The gauged metric just means this is the simplest type of metric. It basically returns a value. So it's a programmatic metric, okay? Then we have the metered that will track the rate at which a set of events occur. And we have the timed that will track the duration of a specific event. So if we look at how this can actually be used in the application, let's take a look at the metric controller. How can I adopt the metrics specification, the metrics capability? How can I implement it? Well, first of all, you will need to expose it through an endpoint, because if you are exposing metrics, another service will come here, collect what the word we use in this space is scrape. It's going to scrape the data and then store it. Like Prometheus is one of these tools that can just, it keeps on gathering the data and storing, gathering and storing, because this data that is exposed is live data. It doesn't store it on the application. It doesn't store it anywhere, it just exposes it. So some other tool, some external service needs to scrape this data. So let's say Prometheus come here and scrape this data from the metric path. And then you use another tool like Grafana to create nice dashboards to expose this data, these metrics. So first of all, you expose it through a controller. Then you start using the metrics. So for example, here I'm injecting a metric called endpoint counter that is related to this variable here, the counter. This counter is a class from the microprofile config spec, okay? That it just counts. It's just literally a counter. We also have a timed. So if I want to know how long this operation will take, I can use the @timed annotation and say what is the name that is going to be called.
Karina, do you mind if you about the counter one?
About the what?
The counter one.
Just a second, let me. Do you want me to open it?
Yes. I mean, it looks like some silly stuff, but remember, we have an interface. And if you want to be able to use memory, for, of course, put an account. But think about microservice, where we have distributed service of this controller, for example. You want to make it available, use any kind of data source, such as a key value with Redis, or even the, I don't know, microstring is a good way, or relational database, key
You're
values.
saying about storing the data.
Yeah, storing the data, for example, instead of just having memory.
Ah, okay.
Just to make sure that it makes sense, especially when you want to talk about metrics. Right now, we have a couple products that implements uh, this interface and moved us to Elasticsearch and dashboard, a couple dashboards on Kibana.
Yeah, these are other tools. Like Elastic can be another way to store it, expose it with Kibana. It really depends on the environment.
Basically, because it's an interface, so we just
Perfect.
we inject that, and then the provider will show to you the best way to solve it.
Awesome. Interesting. Thank you, Otavio. And finally, what happens here? If we go into the increment path, I'm going to increment what? My counter. So this metric is going to be incremented. We also have the gauge here that is simply going to return the counter get count, okay? So let's take a look at this metric path. What does it look like? So, and by the way, these are these paths that you will see in this section of the training are commonly used paths. Okay, so in many applications and even tools from many vendors that expose metrics, it's going to be exposed on the slash metrics. Health checks is going to be exposed on the same paths. So is it a pattern? Is it a standard? Is it not an obligation? No, it's just a commonly used way of doing it because many tools already expect this type of configuration, okay? So let's take a look at this. Wow, Karina, this is complex. Yeah, this is what the metrics endpoint look like. And what do we have in here? We have a lot of information about the application itself, the JVM usage, all of those things we used to collect from JMX. Remember, the old people in here remember JMX and all those stuff we used to get. So we have a lot of things like that. And we also have our custom metrics. So take a look here. So basically for each metric, you will have the type, the help, and the details of the metric. So that is why here on the, okay, let me see one of these, just a second. Let me find the counter. Where is that? Endpoint counter. Let me access it once. It's the slash increment. Localhost. Let's increment that metrics page. No. Timed. Increment. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am incrementing my counter, okay? So let me put it on 29. Actually, let me increment it a lot of times. 77. Cool. So let's take a look at this thing. Do I have it? Refresh the page. And here we have our counter total. Okay, so my endpoint counter is in here. It is a counter type of metric. It is coming from this fully qualified name and class. And then we have the actual metric, that is the 77. So as you see, we only have the type, help, and the actual value. On the other hand, for the time, we have not only these two things, but a lot of metrics related to this timed annotation. So you will see we have the actually we need to take a look at these details here. Let me see something. Let me access the timed endpoint. Using these statistics, let me see. 99. So it comes to this pattern. Let me see something. So it's waiting 1 second. No, it's random. It's a random time. Let me see something real quick. Where's my terminal? Okay. Curl get this pipe grab. So this is the count of this request, and then I want to see these seconds. Let me see here. Opa. What is wrong with you? Menos N1. Oh, since it is going to wait for a long time, then this watch is going to wait a lot. So let me remove this, time it. Just 1 second, guys. Metrics. Could not resolve request. Okay, now it's invoking the request every time. So I can see my count increasing. And the time, okay, here it is. And this is the time that it's taking to complete this operation. So each time I refresh, we will see a different time because it's bringing a different, it's a random number that is waiting there. What I do need to check though is this quantile detail in here. So let me check that during the break so I can bring the information on this. So we can have a full detail of this stuff. But what is important to know in here is that we have all these different types of metrics that we can track, including simple custom metrics like the gauge one, the timed that allows us to see how much the request is taking, and the counter, okay, the metric that is going to just check the rate of a certain event. All right. And then we are now exposing the metrics. Nice. We are starting to observe our application in a better way. Next thing we can do, let's say we have like I said, an operation that involves multiple services. In this case, I might want to think about using open tracing. We had a really nice discussion on another session where one of the guys said that they would prefer to have some small impact on the performance, but still be able to track everything that happens in the environment, because if something occurs, this would be tracked already. They wouldn't have to enable open tracing everywhere to then start collecting. So this is a decision that you also might want to take or make in your own scenario. If you're open to switching, it's always a trade-off, to switching the, oh my gosh, I want to remove every possible cause of a millisecond increase on my request. I don't want to add those things. So you might not want to use extra monitoring tools, but I assure you, in a microservices world, that will be useful.
The logs, man, trust me, being Friday night in the war room with something that we have no idea where this comes from.
No, yeah,
it's a cheap
and
price.
Production systems, they always go wrong on the most irreproducible way possible, right?
And trust, I mean, we are here mostly senior engineers, probably going to staff plus area and be a technical leader maybe, or there are people who is already as an architect or leader and don't depend in just one person who knows everything about the systems is fabulous. Especially if this person decides to go in vacation, that time where the system goes down, and you have no clue what's going on. So
Exactly.
every time that I saw a discussion about, okay, it's cheaper if you don't put log. Okay, in theory, yeah, it's cheaper if you just think about this kind of performance. But think about the real system where I need to debug to see what's going on. Trust me, the microsystem is a
Microservice.
microservice. We have multiple issues with network, with firewall, or any kind of thing. So
And
please,
you will want to know what is wrong there.
you want to
If
know what's going
which is
on.
the microservice that is going wrong. So one of the ways you can do that is by using open tracing. So open tracing is a standard vendor neutral again, and framework for instrumentation. Okay, so based on top of open framework, or on top of open tracing, you will see multiple tools like Jaeger, like Zipkin. There are different tools that implements open tracing, and that allows you to see what's going on in your traced microservices. What does it mean to trace to have tracing in my system? Basically, when you have open tracing, it is going to track everything that is going on in the application code, libraries, services that you have in there, and it will collect these tracing logs, this tracing information, and allow you to see it. So the basic way to get started at looking what is going on in this distributed systems communication is by understanding what are traces and what are spans, okay? The core concept of open tracing is a span. A span is a unit of work in a distributed system. A span is a unit of work in a distributed system. Each span will have a name, a start time, and a duration. So here, for example, we have the time is passing by and something is going on here. We have the client transaction happening, the load balancer transaction happening, authorization, billing, resource allocation, and provisioning, okay? Spans do have relation with each other. So a span, for example, can generate another span. So it can be, a span can be a child of another span, or it can follow from another span. Why should I know this, Karina? Because if you are a consultant and you are going deep down on tracing, you will be dealing with this management of the spans. Inside the application code, you will be creating spans, you will be tracking them, generating new spans, because you will be aware of these things that need to be tracked in that service, okay? So,
and trust us even more, because usually when this kind of thing happen, or even when the database is down, nobody will say, okay, that's my fault. I did a query by star without filter. So they put the issue in the database, on the system and network. And if you have any proof to check if the issue is the code, maybe it might happen. Until you prove we are guilty. Okay.
exactly. It's always the developer fault.
Yes.
And so when you look at the tool that is going to show the tracing, you will see these spans going, like the spans and the relation to each other and the time that each span is taking, okay? So something like this is going to show up. It's going to have a time axis, and this time axis will include several spans. Remember, a span is a unit of work that has a start time, a name, and a duration. So each span will be in there. They will be related to each other. And then I didn't prepare a demo for this one because I have more stuff to show and we wouldn't have the time. But I want to show you what it would look like. Jaeger. And this is the type of stuff also that can be provided by the service where you are deploying your application on in simple ways. On the local development, you usually have to start a container that will have this service available and that you can connect your application to. So let me show you here how it would look like. Okay, where is that? No, I want just an image, my friend. Let me see. No. Introduction. No, just give me the image. Okay, nice. So this is what I want to see. So look at this. This is what Jaeger looks like, for example. You will be able to select all the services that are being traced. So there will be a combo box. You can select the services that are connecting to the Jaeger service. This connection is done through the same microprofile config file. And you will see over time what is taking how long, which threads are taking how long time, okay? How much time. So for example, here, this dispatch API that they are calling is having 50 spans, okay? It is going to a customer, then a driver. There are 24 on the front end, 1 to MySQL. So it goes to this level of detail. It is because this image is not showing. I actually have to prepare a demo for this for the next session, Otavio, because this is pretty interesting. When we click on this stuff, it actually shows the time. It took 1 second on MySQL, 3 seconds on Redis, right?
Yes, it's amazing. I love Jaeger. It's a
Jaeger,
sorry. But it's not like, of course, the New Relic one, but it's nice.
New Relic is different. So here, as you can see, we can talk about that in a second. So let me just show this image. This is how it looks when they click on one of that traces, okay? So this trace, for example, includes is something that starts on the dispatch, goes next to the customer, then goes to blind, and ends up in a SQL select. How much time is this SQL select taking? Well, you can see here, what are the operations that are taking longer? So the Redis get driver, for example, find the driver ID. How much time is that taking? So you will know, based on this instrumentation, which is the exact bottleneck of that operation. All right.
It's a good point, especially because when we had a monolith, we usually, the way to trace logs was, okay, let's put some timer somewhere and then put enable the slow query and check what's going on, right? But right now we're talking about several applications with several database. So the Jaeger, hopefully I say it correctly.
Yes.
Help us to guide to say, okay, you need to invest more time on this or more time on that.
Perfect. So we have seen how we can expose metrics, and we have seen what we can do when we enable tracing on our application. Nice. So what about, no, let's not talk about fault tolerance for now. Let me show about this. Let me show you some demos before that, Otavio, if you don't mind.
Yes, come on, go ahead.
So in order to properly show you why these things matter, I am going to deploy this service on a cloud service. There is an offering of a Kubernetes, let's say Kubernetes on steroids, that is OpenShift. They don't like when we say that, but it's what it is. It's like Kubernetes on steroids. So there is a way you can use it pretty simply. Sandbox. Shift. Let me open the screen that you are looking at. So if you go to this URL, and I even said that I am going to create a lab on how I did this stuff, so you can try it later, but I will not create it for this session. It will be eventually available on the same repository there. where you can see the workshops labs. So this sandbox is what I'm going to use on this demo. I only had to register myself. I'm using a personal account here, my personal email. I logged in and I ordered a sandbox environment. Basically, they created a day. Whose day? Remember, cloud is someone else's responsibility. Doesn't matter whose day, but in this case, it's Red Hat. So inside this environment, I have a fully provisioned and managed OpenShift cluster for my usage. It has some limitations in the sense of having, for example, you cannot create new projects in here. You will have a dev project and a stage project, but for development and testing purposes, that is enough. So let's deploy our application in this cloud service. How can I deploy an application on a cloud service? There are many ways you can do that, but in the end, it will end up inside a container. So the first thing I had to do is, if you click here on the top, copy login command, you already get the command to just copy paste on your terminal. So using the OC client, let me stop this thing. So let me put my terminal there. Okay. So using the OC client, you will log in to the cluster and you can see the projects that you have. So let me use this project here. Actually, let me stay on stage. I think I deleted everything. I only have one to show you. So I'm going to use the stage project. So OC project it's going to tell me I am using this project. OC who am I? It's going to say it's Camacedo Varela. Okay. So I'm connected to my OpenShift cluster. Now I have my observable service that we were just trying out. And this service has two endpoints that we are going to take a look in a second that are from the health check specification that are respective to the liveness and readiness checks. What is that? We'll see in a second. Hold yourselves. So in order to deploy this application on my environment, I could do, for example, a source to image strategy where OpenShift will get the source and it will know how to create the container and etc. But it didn't work pretty well with Helidon. It did work with other frameworks, but with Helidon, it didn't work pretty well. So what I did was to teach how to create the image. How do you do that? You use the Docker file. In my Docker file, what happened is, and by the way, this Docker file comes from the archetype provided by the Helidon itself. So it uses a two-step build, a phased image creation, okay? This is a good practice of when you are creating images to deploy your services on the cloud, because you don't need to have a super big container with Maven installed, with all the internet available there. You don't need that in your container.
Yes, and as going to show, he has an intermediate image to create Docker. I'm not like expert like her, of course, but the good point here is she is building the application, and then the result will be a different jar with it. And if she wish, she would be able to create a custom JVM image with
Exactly.
small steps.
Very good, yes, Otávio, correct. In this case, we are using this image that comes from Maven OpenJDK 17 Slim that has Maven and JDK. So what can we do with this image? Well, we can tell what is the working dir we are going to use, say, add the POM to the container, and then we'll just run the Maven package. Oh, skip test. Oracle. This is by default in their image. So they're skipping the tests there. Not a good thing.
No, come on. Let's try to help Oracle in this case. Because
The
Oracle
test would have
believes-
run before this.
Exactly, before
Okay.
the build.
So yeah, if we were deploying using a pipeline, the test would run in another step, a previous step. If the test passed, then we come here.
Yes.
Okay. I see you trying to help there. I'm just kidding, but Otavio is correct. So we are just adding it, packaging stuff, and then we will end up with a jar. This jar file will then be added to the actual executable image. So we have a builder image and a runtime image. This is valid for your life. Just take this for your life, okay? You have the builder image and the runtime image. The runtime image is way lighter. It can get even more light if you do like Otavio said, create another custom image with just what you need. You can do that depending on your needs. But for this need, we are going to just use the JDK Slim. And yeah, copying the libraries, exposing the port, that's it. So based on this Docker file, I am going to tell OpenShift to deploy this service.
Oh, nice.
How-
This product has echo.
Yes, OpenShift. So how am I going to do that on OpenShift? I'm going to push. Ay, véi. So we're in order to do that, there are many strategies to deploy on a Kubernetes environment, okay? Well, you could push it from your local environment, or what is normally done, you can use it from a GitHub. So I have pushed my code to GitHub, and next I will say OpenShift, create a new application, use this GitHub repository and use the strategy that is Docker. So it's going to look for the Docker file. Based on this Docker file, it will build the images and start a container. So let's see that in action, okay? So I do have it here already to help us out. So we can say just OC new app, inform the repo, and say my strategy is Docker. The strategy could be, for example, source to image, whatever that is. Opa, yeah, Vladimir, you're paying attention. Okay, so once I've done this, look, OpenShift has identified if it already has the image required to do the builds. It found the Docker file to actually start the build. It allows us to change the application code if I were just developing and trying directly the changes there, but I'm not going to try that out. It's not the purpose of the course. And I'm going to, so the error that it has here is just because one of the items I didn't delete, so it didn't create again. So that's not a problem. Let me see if we have the routes. So what happens when we deploy on an environment like this? So let me go to stage. We have two views. We have the developer view and the administrator view. I'm going to use the administrator just to show you more details. What the new app created for us? It created a deployment, the observable service deployment. This is a type, okay, a CRD. So we have a deployment. It also creates the build config, that is how it will build this application. All of these are just YAMLs in the end of the day, okay? So we have the link to the GitHub and et cetera, the strategy. It then has the build. Look, it could build my image successfully. So it found the Docker file, built the image, pulled all the images that it needed to pull, created the image streams. And in order to expose the service, it has a service component that allows services to connect, to communicate internally. So remember, containers are volatile. Yeah, I think that's how we say. I'll try to read it.
Volatile, yeah. Hopefully
I have a
listening
trick.
correctly.
Volatile.
Ah, come on. Volatile. Okay.
Volatile is in Portuguese, Vladimir. Volatile. No, that's not right. I'll check with Google later. So these things are disposable. It's just like if it is not working, delete it. If you finish using it, delete it. It doesn't matter. Containers, you can just delete it and recreate it as many times as you need. Ephemeral is the word. So oh, okay, thank you, Vladimir, for the tip. Yeah. So the endpoint will keep on shifting. So how could the services talk to each other if you keep on changing the URLs? So when deploying wow, Otavio, thank you. Now I know how to say that. So when you are deploying in places like this, you actually will refer, let's say you are integrating one service with the other. You are not going to have like localhost 8080. You are going to say just the service name, okay? So this is the service name, observable service. So if I had a REST client connecting, it would be just observable service and then / whatever we have, okay? And how do I expose this to the world? I have a route. As you see, we have no routes. So let's expose our service to the external world. I'm not going to use the UI just because this is quicker. So let me expose that. OC expose the service, observable service. It is going to create a route for us. See, it's there. And then I have already the URL for my service. I could access it, but Karina, if I were using an application server, I would take a look at the logs first. Yeah, let's do that. Karina, why do you have 2 pods? A pod is something that holds the container. It can has 1 or more containers, including side containers. So one of these pods are completed. Remember, we have a 2-phase build. So this one was the build container. So it finished the build, so it's completed. So that's why there's no pods running. This is the actual service that we have. And we can take a look at the logs. Looks like it's up and running. Let's take a look at that. All right, so let me get that route. OC get route. Okay, Opa. OC get route. Observable service.
Opa.
Vladimir likes my Opa. He likes it. Okay. Looks like it's not working. Why? Let me see why. Opa. Let's see why. Let's see why. What is going on with you? Let me see the events real quick.
Opa.
Scale down the replica. That is curious. I have here, it's up and running. It should be exposed correctly. Let me see something. One last thing before we stop wasting time on these things. Not wasting, using time for this. 8080 and the route HTTP should be working. Okay, it's just some, I don't know what happened. It's working. Okay, maybe I opened something on the other screen wrong. I will refresh the page. See, it's working. Look at the URL, observable service. So we have our service in here.
It's working.
I will prove you it's working. You know how? We have microprofile config. Remember, I told you it needs to be configured on the environment. So currently I have the injected value set in my property. Remember, I have it here. So resources. Okay. This is what the application is like on the GitHub repository, injected value. So I'm going to change that. How do I change that? I will use this. So injected.value, that will get converted to underline. So let me show you. I can come here on OpenShift, open my deployment, observable service, and I have the environment variables. I can change the variable and just have injected value to open. And I will save it. Once I save it, it knows it has to restart the pods. You didn't even see it, but it created another pod, waited until it was up and running, and then deleted the other one, okay? So if I refresh my page, I should see now, opa. So,
Oh.
whoa, that is awesome, right?
Opa.
So that is how you externalize your database configuration, security settings, everything you have, just to change on the environment variable. Everything you see on the microprofile config, everything I'm doing on OpenShift is valid for Kubernetes, okay? It's all the based on the same stuff. Yeah, right? So another thing, we have seen the metrics, it's still working in here. And there is still the liveness and readiness APIs. What are these things used for, okay? Why do we need to add this? It's so simple to add a health check on your service that you have no excuse not to do that. All you need to do is create a readiness, use this annotation here, and then do the operation that makes sense to that application that says it's ready. What does it mean to be ready? Ready to accept requests. That is what means to be ready. It's not started, it's ready to accept requests. I'll send a request and it's going to answer. It's not loading anything, it's not nothing, it's ready to accept requests. On the other hand, we have the liveness check. On the liveness check, it will allow us to know if the application started without any issues. There's no deadlocks, no problems with database connections, anything like that. And if the environment notices that these probes are not working, it will kill your pods, kill it in the name of. So basically that, okay? And I will share a link so you understand why I'm singing this song. There's a friend of ours that created a parody on top of that song. Yes, you know it, Vladimir. So there's a killing in the name of, there's for Kubernetes. I will share it with you later because you will laugh about it. So this is what this is how you use it. I don't have a controller, right? I don't have the path. Remember I told about the commonly used. So commonly used, health/live, health/ready. So if I use this, I can come here on my deployment and I have here the add health checks. Where is that? Okay, add health checks. So we have the probes. How can the environment know your service is healthy? Okay, let me add a readiness probe. HTTP, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what is the path? /ready. And I'm going to add a liveness probe. What is the path? /live. So let me save that. Save, and then save. Good. Again, container creating. See, every time you change it.
Oh, it's cheap, right? To create, to destroy, create another one. So
yeah, exactly. And there are multiple deployment strategies that we can adopt. Unfortunately, this is a microprofile course, not a cloud deployment, so we can't drill down so much on that stuff, on those stuff. But there's many deployment strategies you can adopt. Canary, AB, blue, green, blah, blah, blah. Rolling deployments.
I like this blah, blah one.
Blah, blah, you like that one, right? Yeah. So by default, we have the rolling deployment. And when we have that, you will see that the container readiness probe failed. See? So it will start checking the readiness and liveness, and it's going to stop the service when needed. So there are configurations you can do there to make sure this works. To wrap up the native explanation that we had yesterday, there's one of my favorite demos, Otavio, I love this demo. To make it shorter, can you hear the phone ringing?
Opa, yes.
Something arrived, probably AliExpress or Shopee, so just let it ring. So one of my favorite demos is what does it actually mean, serverless, Java serverless application. I love that.
I guess
So,
everything's about deliverability, right?
mm,
So the cloud, your AliExpress package.
right, everyone is delivering today.
Yes,
So
right
uh,
time.
notice a difference here. We have deployed our service, and when I access it, it opens, right? It's instant. Although I have a service that is here, but it's not deployment, like auto-scaled to 0. This one, no, this one is just has like the number of key 1. I can change the number of pods in here, and it's going to scale up, create as many pods as I need, or scale down. Scale to 0 because I told it to.
Oh, nice.
This one, on the other
So
hand,
I can see these nodes appearing. I mean, if I put 7 or 6,
yes,
how does it work?
so every time you scale up, a new pod is created. All of them is going to answer on the same URL.
So basically, do we do the load balance stuff
Automatically,
default?
that's on Kubernetes, yes.
You can define the ones like Robin or something like this.
That's a detail on the route itself. I don't know which are the custom configurations you can do on the route, but I do know that when you connect to Istio, then you can do really advanced stuff in there on the routing level, okay? Because it's just a side container, so you don't need to change the application. Here on the serverless, just to wrap up on the last 5 minutes, now 4, I have the same service, but I have deployed it using an image that I pushed to Quay. That is just like Docker Hub, Quay.io. This image, what did I do to create the image? I ran this Docker file native that basically uses the pnative property that I showed you yesterday that creates the native executable. It will create it inside a Linux container, so we are good. It's not created on my machine. It's created on a Linux environment. Then it's going to provide an image to run it. The runtime image for this native executable. I have pushed it to Quay manually just for the demo, just for demo purposes. I don't know if I'm logged in. Everyone can use this actually. Let me open here because I'm logged in on my personal account there. Everyone can use this image, it's public. So if you want to try this deployment, you can use my image that is already created also. No, not this.
Nice. Can we use your account as well?
Not the account, but the image is public.
Ah,
And the
okay.
Docker file is public, so you can also create another image if you want and push to Docker Hub. So, no, I can show the URL for the Quay later. It's quay.io/Varela. Let me see the rest.
Opa.
Varela, serverless decision. Yeah, let me find this later, okay?
Nice, Karina.
All right, so basically I pushed this to a Vladimir is just making fun of me. So I had this image and I told OpenShift, deploy this image here. How did I do that? I did it with, instead of using the OC client, I actually used the Knative CLI. So I told, hey, Knative, create a new service. This is not the command that I used, but it was something similar. Create a new service, observable service, and this is where the image is. This is not the actual, oh, maybe it is. Serverless decisions. Maybe it is actually. So I will check that out. So I told OpenShift to create it. In this case, in order to enable the serverless capabilities, I have running on this cluster the serverless infrastructure that is based on Knative. I installed it using the operator. Then, if you look at it, just so you understand what is going on under the scene, okay? If you look at the things that are going on in here, you will see that, where is that? Serverless. We have like surveying and eventing. So you can have serverless events and you can have serverless serving. In this example, I'm using serverless serving. I will show you right now what that means and stop talking once and for all. So let me split the, let me show Mosaic to Victor. So look, can you see on top of my screen here, Otávio, the multiple layouts?
Yes.
So this is what I can do with Mosaic. I put it here and then I put it here and bam, it's perfect.
Basically what you do on Linux for free, right? Need to pay to use this kind of thing. In
Do you do this for free? Can you customize the layouts?
No.
Tá. Okay, just checking. Can you have shortcuts for the layouts?
This one I do. Indeed, I do. I do have this one.
Good to know.
And
So,
for free.
For free. Linux is beautiful. That is why I work at Red Hat. So guys, this is what happens.
Sorry to interrupt. How was the application named again?
Mosaic. Let me write it down.
Mosaic. Okay.
There are others that are free, but since I do a lot of screen sharing, this one suits me better.
Yeah, I'm using tiles and I'm not quite satisfied, but
yeah, sometimes when I need to
seems,
show like the terminal, I can just put it like this and then I put it here. See, so it just fits so pretty without any issues. But anyway.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure. So it's auto scale out to 0. So now comes the magic. Let me copy this endpoint. Copy link. And I will open it here. Now, something I want you to notice. This is natively compiled. This should have the quickest startup time possible. This doesn't have any persistence. It's just health checks, metrics, and JAX-RS, okay? So this is one of the examples of things I told you to try out across the market. Each vendor will have a different startup time. Payara, for example, is super fast. Quarkus is super fast. So now I will do the request here. Notice on the side, it's going to start scaling, started provisioning, okay? Still creating, and now it's available. So every time I access this, it will be there. This is publicly accessible. So every time you access, it will be there. After 60 seconds, this is the default. After 60 seconds of no usage, it will scale down to 0. You can configure this scale up, this auto scaling, how much you want to scale up once it starts, and what are the metrics that it should use to auto scale also. So this is pretty flexible. And these are the differences we were talking when we were discussing PaaS versus CaaS. This is a CaaS. You see all the technical details I had to explain you here. On a PaaS, there's no such thing, okay? So that is the beauty of creating native, cloud native microservices with Java. It's beautiful, it's simple, it follows good practices, not only for code application, but also from general application development, general image build time and runtime. And Java is getting more and more flexible also from the JVM standpoint and from the modularity standpoint. So you can create even lighter images every time. So this is what I wanted to show you. I hope you enjoyed and got a little bit more excited about the future of microservices and Java on the cloud.
Okay, okay, go ahead.
I am a rebel.
Yes, indeed you do.
Yeah. So we can talk about this together in the beginning, and then you can take it from there, okay? So
Okay, okay.
we were talking about multiple services that communicate with each other. So this is what generally happens. Let me get my pointer. And then we have two services, the shop service and the customer service. Okay, everything is going well. If the customer tries to access the shop services in this URL, everything should go fine. Although services can have bugs, it might be Otavio's fault. It might be Ezekiel's fault. He's at his house saying, Opa, I did a mistake. And then the shop service will break. Or we can have also the shop service going down because Logan didn't set up the deployment strategies correctly. And then when Ezekiel fixed his issue, his bug, during the deployment, this service was not available. And 404, shop service is again down. We can also have Angelo messing up with the networking. He pulled the cables and the network is unstable. Again, shop service goes down. So we should always worry about having reliable services by setting up a proper retry strategy. Our services, in order for them to be reliable, we should be able to handle transient failures that are things that will recover fast, like a deployment, right, Otavio? We should also have proper retry strategies. So what should I do if, I'm sorry, what should I do if my service is not working, if it cannot connect to the other endpoints? Well, these are tips for you. And I'm pointing my finger to everyone here in this room. So we need to worry not only about our service, but we cannot overload the other service also. Are you going to retry like 100 times every 5 milliseconds? You're going to overload the other service. Even if it's trying to come up, it's not going to come up because you are overloading it. You should have a limited number of retries. You should delay in between these retries. You should also take actions in case of failure. Okay, I tried the maximum. Nothing can be done. What should I do now? And you can use jitter. That means you are going to use random numbers to avoid all the services that are depending on a single service to retry at the same time. So even if you are retrying let's say you are retrying 5 times, but all the other 15 services are also retrying 5 times exactly at the same time because they are trying every 1 second. Gosh, it will become a nightmare. So jitter is a way for you to add a random factor to separate these retries, okay? So I will allow Otavio now to share his screen because now you can, Otavio.
No,
Just because.
Please go ahead. Go into the whole slide presentation. Then
Do you want me to talk about the circuit breaker already?
Exactly.
Okay. So one way to handle these failures is to use circuit breakers. The circuit breaker is something that doesn't come from the IT. It's a very old stuff, as you can see here on the image included. So basically, your service should automatically fail fast if the execution repeatedly fails. So it's not, Vladimir knows what I'm talking about. Hystrix is a way of implementing circuit breakers. So instead of, go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
So instead of just going and allowing your end user to see a lot of issues, you can use the circuit breaker concepts that are provided by MicroProfile also. We will see this in a second. But let's just first understand what this is all about. So then you can see the value of what Otávio is about to show you. So let's say we have 3 different services. F will depend on D, that depends on E. So next we have our service, oh, sorry, E depends on D, that depends on E, F, oh my gosh, E, D, F. So F breaks down. That consequently, our other services will also go down. In order to fix this, we can add a circuit breaker. A circuit breaker concept is works like this. Whenever your circuit is closed, if it is closed, things are normal. Circuit is closed, everything is connected, everything is normal, okay? The circuit breaker records whether each call is a success or a failure, and it keeps track of the most recent results in a rolling window. All configurable. Once this rolling window is full, if the proportion of failures in this rolling window is above the failure ratio, what happens? The circuit opens. What happens if the circuit opens? It depends on your application configuration. You will tell it what to do if the circuit is open, but it is open, and these services know it's open. So when it's open, the calls to the service that is under this circuit breaker will fail immediately. So you don't need to wait. If you call it, immediately you get the answer. It's not working immediately. It's not going to retry to do all these things, just going to return a circuit breaker open exception. After a delay that you can configure, this circuit breaker will transition to a half open state. In a half open state, it is like, let's see if this is trustable, Mr. Otávio. So it keeps a configurable number of trial executions of this service. So if any of these trial requests fail, again, it goes back to open. If all the trials succeed, then it goes back to closed, okay? So OPA service, you can trust the OPA, especially the open. So this is what the circuit breaker is all about, okay? Closed, it's working. Open, it's not working. Have open, let me do some tests to see how these things are going, and then I can check if I will close this circuit again.
You were able to see it mostly in the past, right? Especially with the Black Friday ones where the service becomes slow down, or you use some integration with any kind of provider such as PayPal. It doesn't make sense to receive multiple timeouts. If the service is out, the service is out. And you're able to implement whatever you want. For example, in this case, I worked in an e-commerce company, and when the service provided by PayPal got a timeout exception, I basically put it on the queue where eventually it will be processed when the service returns up. But the whole point is I don't need to take my user to wait until you get the timeout exception.
Or to wait. Yeah, just waiting is already a problem for the end user, Otávio. No one wants to try to access a page and see the loading forever, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because the retries take some time. Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna hold several requests because the third service is down, and once you are holding several services, you might become down as well because you're gonna consume a lot of requests just because you're holding it.
So with that, these are some of the attributes we are going to see right now. And Otávio, show time.
No.
I didn't ask anything. I just affirmed.
Okay.
I'm learning.
Okay, basically it's a single application with microservice. We won't go deeper on it, especially because we don't have enough time to put in the whole details. But in the sample, we have a link to a tutorial about the whole annotation. The main point to us that you understand is the approach and the concept about what is fault tolerance. The idea is to avoid any kind of mistakes. Okay, I have here my application. It's not important, and what I do have here is several ways to. Oops, why did you do that? No, where are you? Oh, here you go. I believe I'm nervous. Maybe it's that.
Okay, you will.
As you can see here, I do have the fault tolerance. For example, here, if it got higher than 500 milliseconds, I will return a timeout. And based on that, I have a fallback. Okay, so basically what I'm gonna do, I will check, I will delay higher than 500, and because of that, I will request the method, the fallback method. As recommendation and advice for you, you can use the method here, but I really recommend you to explore the design code better. I mean, if the controller falls down, I really believe the best strategy is use a different class. Remember, single point of responsibility, the solid principle, single of responsibility. So, but anyway, you're gonna do the method here. We're gonna call the fallback because of timeout. We have the second way. It is still the timeout, but this time here is my favorite because I will split the issue where in this case, I put the context, I have the context here, and then I can have injections. And basically, what I'm gonna do is I will take the context method who got the exception, okay? And the last one that I will show up is the secret breaker, okay? I will run this application here. Again, we don't have time to go deep. However, what I did put here was the oops, opa,
Isso,
clean
opa.
package.
You're learning, you're learning. Keep on practicing.
We have this article here about the whole details. It's my favorite one. It belongs to Tom Tribe, who wrote, again, it was a Brazilian, Ivan. I don't remember right now. And it's a good one. Let's run the application. Jar, target, fault tolerance. It will start. Fault tolerance timeout. As you can see, I waited and then I did a fallback answer due to timeout. I did this one here. So the timeout and then request this method here. Of course, I'm able to use a custom. It's my favorite, by the way. So I did the exception, the fallback message. Remember, we're able to integrate. So if something goes wrong, we're able to use the trace log to identify what's going on. So as you can see here, my log, so I know who got an exception was my resilience controller. That is the handler methods with the error method interrupted by timeout. And this one here, my secret break. And why did I decide to do? I can handle it with whatever I want. And I got an exception. He has an explanation about how to handle with that. Okay, so my secret, the idea of the test, the voluntary showed, and so on, the delay to be half open, and so on. He has the whole explanation about it. But the whole point here is every time that I decide to go to distributed system, mainly in the microservice, uh, we need to think more about the small details such as trace log. And if something goes wrong, it might be go wrong. So think about the fault tolerance there. Okay. Uh, Let me stop share my screen. It's a brief explanation because I need to do a break of 1 hour, right? And then return to the persistence.
Nice. So let me do some slide coding now. Let's
Oh,
run it.
slide coding.
Slide coding. So let's have a longer break. We will call
Yes.
it lunch, but let me call it long break because it's not. Otavio is already at night.
It's my dinner time. Yes.
Right? Let me have like 62. Did you notice that in this session I'm kind of random? 62.13.
Quick question before break, Otavio. The service you showed, the code you showed us a minute ago, is it in the project we all checked out, or
Yes, it does, right, Corina? Yes, it does.
Let's see.
Let's take the
Let's
Git
double check.
repo.
Fault tolerance.
Yes, it is
Oh.
there. Yeah.
It's on the demo repo. It's not on the
Yes,
lab
the demo
repo.
repo.
I will share it here on the chat. Sorry, wait.
it's not on the exercise repo, it's on the demo? Okay.
Yeah, we for this session, we are mostly based on two main repositories. There is this demo one. There is the lab one. These labs is just the guides. So if there
Okay.
to be fixed on the guides, it's this one. In the foundation, there are the quick start projects. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. So it's now time for us to talk about persistence. And I will stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, no, keep sharing your screen.
Why?
No? Tell me why. I don't know, just to be fun.
Okay. So when we are talking about persistence, okay, we need to understand that we are pretty much used to working with a way to mapping modules to database tables, usually using ORMs, object relational mapping. When we do this, we sometimes people don't even notice, or they don't even know that they are using JPA, Java Persistence API, I think, right? Yeah, JPA, Java Persistence.
Java Persistence API.
And then once they notice they are using a tool like Hibernate or Eclipse Link or any other one of these tools that are actually an implementation of JPA, and that allows them to do this mapping of our classes to a database table. Although, how does that work when we are talking about NoSQL databases? There are many types of NoSQL databases. They are not like the relational databases we are used to working with that has the relational tables. Some are graph databases, some are document, some are key value, and so on and so forth. So with this, how can we do this mapping? In order to do this mapping, we can kind of think in this way. For relational databases, we can use the traditional JPA style. And for NoSQL databases, we can look at the Jakarta NoSQL and the capabilities that it brings to us. So Jakarta NoSQL allows us to abstract the different types of databases. And this is Otavio's, he really likes this mythology and stories like those. So I will allow him to actually talk about this. So tell us, Otavio.
No, no, come on, go ahead. Okay, before you become brave with me. So the idea here, especially because you, as you can see, you have the DAO or data access object. If you want, you might use a repository wherever you want. Sorry, I don't know what's happened. But anyway, we have two layers. We have the Jakarta NoSQL specification that has JNoSQL as implementation vendor, where we have two layers. One to mapping, where we're able to think about JPA, right? It's a mapping where you put your classes, your entity and annotations, and the low level one is the communication level, where you think about JDBC. Okay, the main difference between SQL and NoSQL is because NoSQL has different types. NoSQL has different culture of Java, and NoSQL has different flavors. And based on that, we have a column, document, key value, and graph database. Okay, and to each API, we have one. Each NoSQL database we have one API. So one API to column, one API to document, one API to key value, and one API to graph. Of course, we do have the common annotations to do the mapping between the Java and the NoSQL vendor itself. Okay. Um, Also, we talk about this. Let me show first the NoSQL. I won't go deep because if you have time to talk about, let me share my screen right now, Karina, please. Oh, nice. I don't need to ask permission.
You actually had.
No, no, just because I'm polite, but I have the power to remove your screen sharing. So basically, this sample code is on the repository, and we gone deep on it, especially because hopefully you're able to test and run and see what's going on. We have the step by step. As you can see here, we have the the issue in the documentation, and we have the step by step: clean package, execute, um, do this kind of thing, right? We have the tests here, and 1 second, where are you? .xml. And our dependencies, besides the Helidon that we already have, right? Uh, on the microprofile. We have the Jackson being validation, that's not new. Jackson to serialize the JSON. And those one here belongs to Jakarta NoSQL. One is a mapping document where you can think about the JPA again. And another one is my MongoDB driver where we're able to think about the JDBC. So those are the base dependencies about Jakarta NoSQL with document. Okay, Otavio, if I want to run with column, I come here and put the column one or the graph one and so on. So in this case, we're gonna use the document with MongoDB. And remember the integration that we talked. So right now we have the MongoDB with the document, the configuration of the local host to the properties. Oh, that's a good question, Karina. Thank you to ask. So are you using NoSQL database right now? I'm using localhost here because it's in the properties. But as you know, NoSQL does not mean no security. So on production, you're able to overwrite those configurations to put password, credential, wherever you want.
This provider is like the driver class?
Yes, exactly the driver class.
Okay.
So I have the configuration here that able to overwrite. In the entity, there is nothing new for you. As you can see, it's a entity that looks like the APA, the ID, the column, and so on. Basically, the idea, as you can see, no, the schema is the same annotation, but for NoSQL. The idea is that's why we are working right now a new specification that is Jakarta data, because we're able to put this annotation common in one single place. So the idea is to move as one specification where everybody able to use just the annotations in the interface. Okay. If it is okay to everybody, hopefully it will be approved next month and we're able to start working it. The item has several ingredients. And as you can see here, I'm not talking with relationship like one to many, or many to many. I basically have one item with a list where this list will be a subdocument. So we're gonna put several things inside the item as one single table. And the ingredients, I have the name, the unit, the quantity, and that's it. And in my controller, I do no the injection by reposter that I'm gonna show later, and almost the same idea. So find all, find by ID, otherwise return an exception. Insert here, so to create it. The update, you check if the information is there. If not, we return 404 and do the update and delete the delete, and that is it. And as you can see, it is a repository interface where I don't have a single implementation. So the idea is to be exactly what Spring Data does. So a couple interface annotation where everybody will handle that. Though what? Sorry.
If they work with NoSQL.
Oh, okay. And yes, we need to have one annotation because it's request a decorator. But anyway, we will be fix it on how can I say that, on with CDI extension. So basically, I don't have any implementation. Able to execute that. You're able to put some properties here to check what's going on. I want to execute this guy here. Actually, I'm gonna do a bad practice. That is, oops, I should not do that. But anyway, I will comment later to fix these small steps. Sorry for that. To you execute, understand. But right now, let's talk about the microstring one, where we will talk a little bit deeper on that, especially because I don't have enough time. Let's share my screen. By the way, who is familiar with microstring? Who have heard about, who tested microstring? Okay, Logan. Somebody else? But let's explain to you. Usually when we talk about Java persistence layer, we love to do, it's important, right? Especially because when you talk about microservice, the state of art is to talk about stateless applications, right? Where I don't have state. And where does these states is basically those states are on the persistence layer. So we usually delegate this state to the database itself.
And the database is somewhere else, another service.
Yes,
file
exactly.
system
Good
or something.
point. And the point here is every time that you do that, we have paradigms between Java and the persistence. Like relational database, it works like relational, right? Java with objects, document NoSQL as documents. That is closer to this object oriented, but it's not exactly the one. And we have a couple of things that we do have in object that we're not able to use or explore in the data persistence layer. That is exactly the definition of mismatch communication impedance. So we have a couple of things that we'd like to use with object, but I'm not able to relate that with my persistence layer. One way to solve it is using microstring. So yes, microstring is not only about it, it's faster. It promises to be ultra fast, 1000 faster than JPA, mainly because it works on memory with snapshots. We are able to do, okay, thank you, Karina. We are able to do a cluster with microstring. So it's one thing that's worth to try, microstring on production. Of course, not in production, but try to see what's going on. We are able to integrate microstring with another database because by default, microstring gonna use the folders and this the system files, the file system to put the state object there. But if you want to, you are able to use integration with Amazon S3, a relational database, or a NoSQL database, whatever you want. Indeed, microstring has several ways to do this kind of integration. Okay. To explain a little bit about microstring, I have a no scratch application where I have my CDI here, as you can see, and my
Otávio,
MicroProfile configuration. Okay, go ahead, Karen.
before you go into the code, can you open the page here, please? And just scroll down to the performance GIF that is down there. No, you can go ahead. You can share your screen.
No, I will share because I was sharing by window. I will share everything right now.
Oh, just scroll down a little bit. Again, this image. So as you can see, when you start doing all these things that Otávio was mentioning, you get a lot of performance improvements on the persistence layer. So the comparison is very extreme when you compare JPA persistence with microstring in memory persistence. And this is the power of it. It's not only one more way to do persistence, it's actually a very, very fast, like they like to say, ultra fast persistence. So it's worth giving a look and understanding the value, the use cases that you can apply it to, because it is also supported on Helidon. So it's part of the, I think it is included with Helidon. I need to confirm that information, but
yes, it has an API integrated with Helidon.
it's, yeah, they work closely. And then since you are going to, some of you are going to create applications with Helidon, it's worth giving it a look. It works with all frameworks, of course, with all runtimes, but especially for Helidon, since you are learning Helidon because you have this purpose, many of you mentioned that has already a project coming your way, maybe you should also give this a look. Okay, Otávio. Thank you.
So quick question. The microstream, is this just an in-memory database? Is this not like a persistent Is this like a EH cache or something like it says here, or?
It's both. So
okay.
I just said, okay, let's the docs here. You can use like in memory, but you are able to do the targets here. So local file system is the default, right? So it had the information in memory, and then the snapshot to guarantee the consistency of the information. But if you wish, you are able to use it with relational database. So you're able to integrate it with MariaDB or MySQL or Oracle or Postgres and so on. As well, if you wish, you have the option or the flavor to use with blob stores like DynamoDB, S3, Azure Store, Hazelcast, MongoDB. So basically, we have a couple of flavors to use as data source, the storage target. So it does has a layer in memory, and it has a kind of backup on whatever you wish or you ever want. This today we will show with file system, but if you wish, okay, Otávio, I want to do one step forward and put that on Amazon S3, go for it, or a relational database, go for it. Okay? Does that answer your question? No, yes, maybe.
Yes, it does. Yeah, thank you.
If you have more questions, please let me know.
Sure.
I have the CDI with the small RAI. It belongs to Red Hat, right, Karina? True configuration. And it has beyond the Helidon integration, it has the microservices CDI integration. It's my favorite one, by the way. I mean, okay, to me is better than the Helidon integration because it has more semantic. But anyway, I will show to you. Just use the Java with CDI and SE. You probably know, right, that I will start with my app class and my public static void main. This one here, you already know. SE container is not new. Initializer, new instance. Nothing new here, right? Basically, I forgot to show that. Why do I have microprofile configurations? To have this properties configuration over here that belongs to microstring. So as you can see, I have the one microstring storage directory that's I'm using the default one. Remember the link. So I put this in the folder. I have the channel count and to store the cache that I show later by true. Okay, Karin, do you have any sample here? There's some object that I can explore.
That you
The
can
last one
store.
was Mario Soccer, right?
You can store Pokemons.
Oh, I hate Pokemons. I'm kidding. Don't kill me. Let's do it with Pokemons. So Pokemon has a string with the name.
And type.
It does have a type.
Yeah, like water, fire.
Oh yeah, right.
Just type. You're going to create a class. Okay, nice.
Yes. If
Water,
it has
fire, poison,
poison,
dragon. Okay, that's enough.
dragon, okay, that's enough. That is ground, right? And electric. I don't know if you write it correctly.
Electric. Yeah.
Ah, okay, thank you. And I have my master, right?
And the level. And a Boolean saying that if it is evolved, for example.
Boolean involved.
Evolved without the N. No, EVO. Aí. And we have a level that can be a number, an integer.
Level and the master. Is Pokemon Master the right term in the
Yeah,
domain?
then you can create another class if you want. That is going to be a person, right?
Yes, it should be a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
A Pokemon Master. Oops. I guess master is just enough, right?
Yep.
That right now we only have the name.
Yeah.
It's enough for now, but I can put the city as well. So right now I have my Pokemon. I have my 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 type, my everything. And the next step is basically I want to start this information, right? Yes, and it might be a good practice to use, for example, imagine right now that a Pokemon is not able to change the name, right? They usually don't, right? Otherwise, they will transfer to another one.
Yeah.
So it's a immutable. And they usually don't change the
The
master as well,
level,
right?
the level change
Oh, yes.
and the evolved.
So I'm able to do that. I will create a constructor with all the types. Remember, kids, do immutable as possible. I will simplify my life with a builder. Remove here. My Pokemon builder. And this one here we build because I really don't understand why should I have create a Pokemon in the Pokemon builder. It'd be weird if I have a Pokemon builder and create a car. Uh, but anyway, I have my Pokemon, I have my builder to help me to create it easily. And right now, I will have a collection of Pokemons. Do you know what? In Karina, how can I define the Pokemon collection?
Pokédex. You can just say like the it's like my captured Pokemons in the Pokédex.
Poke,
DX.
this
D.
way here,
D.
D, Pokedex. So my Pokedex has a collection of Pokemon, right? Where I will do basically operation stuffs, okay? So what can I do? On this case here, I will simplify because you don't have enough time. So I will just start my Pokemons. Then add a new Pokemon. I need to do a good process to validate it, right? So it should not be new. Pokemon is required, and then add the Pokemons. And finally return a getter. You probably know, right? That's wrong. So because I'm able to change my list, so I need to make sure that its list is unchangeable or really only. On this case, I will do this. So right now I have my collection of Pokemon that is a Pokedex. By the way, it's the right definition or the proper definition of TDD. for some framework reason, right now we put the repository as prefix, but the definition of repository is to be a collection of your domain. So if you have a car, it should be a garage instead of car repository. Okay. Right now I have my Pokédex, and usually I need to create this kind of thing, but to integrate with MicroString, I just need to put one annotation here that is storage. Based on that, my MicroString will store the information that I do have here, and that is it. Okay. And right now, what I need to do is create a service to inject it. So I have my Pokemon service where I will inject my class as application scope. I will inject my Pokédex. Hey, Otaba, can I use repository? Yes, you can. Be free to use whatever you want. And I will add here void add Pokemon Pokédex Pokemon, and then do my Pokemon. And that is it. So right now I have the basic of the Pokemon. I will create one Pokemon here. Pokemon. I will use the Pokemon builder where, yes, I can improve a lot this code. So let's see. No, too many dots. Involve, I have no idea about this. It's true. Level 10. Just keep it one. The name Pikachu. Hopefully I write down correctly. The type electric, and the master. Where are you, master Pokemon? Okay. On this case here, now able to use the city that you come from. So I will put this emote ball here and then do the getters. Let's do the toString. I will do the same with the Pokemon. I will override the toString here.
You have a small typo on the name. It's Pikachu, C-H-U, C-H-U. Thank you.
Okay. All right, now I have Karina Varela from Brasília. Okay, right now I have a Pokemon Master. So I need to storage this. Remember, also we're using it integrated with CDI. I can inject my MicroString Store Manager. How? Store Manager. Think about Store Manager as a entity manager, but for MicroString. Storage Manager, container, select, where I will inject this little guy here. So it you read the configuration properties and then create my store manager. MicroString works as a graph database, a graph hood database, where I have my hoods, that is my column, my highest level, and then going down. So what I'm doing here is basically selecting roots to show to you guys. the hood value is my hood. Then inject my Pokemon service. Yes, if you want to be able to use it with MicroProfile, I just decrease the complexity to show how simple it is to use. And the service will add a Pokemon. And one thing that is really, really important is you are able to handle the transaction operation on MicroString. So in this case, I want to, once it's done with this method, do this MicroString transaction. Okay. So I will annotate it with store. So I want to call this method and then store using MicroString. And that is it. So I will do this. I will do the classic MVN clean and then execute the first time. And hopefully it will work, but who knows, right?
Something interesting is that you don't have any configurations like one-to-one, one-to-many, nothing like that, right?
Nothing like this,
You have
right?
the class model and that's it.
Yes, MicroString will handle everything for you. Right now it's new. Let me run again. Right now it has a Pokédex where I should, by the way, put my toString and then execute it again with my Pokemons. And as you can see, I have my Pokemons here. Right now, instead of new, I have this Pokemon. The whole point here is you are able to use this model. Yeah, it's a simple one. My data is here. Remember that what I did I put here? So target data, a channel count. I have 4 channels. Remember, we usually start with 0, where I have distributed data locally and to help in the scalability of the process. Think about this as a backup or snapshot. It's almost the same behavior that we have on Redis and mostly of the key value NoSQL database or the NoSQL database in memory where you need to have a guarantee that something goes wrong, you're able to return this information instead of lost the whole information. Okay, so basically right now, what do I have is a Pokemon, my Pokemon collection that I put in storage, my Pokemon service, where I inject my Pokédex, my collection of Pokemon, and my store annotation, where I just need to define, okay, after this, do the transaction. And everything using CDI by definition. As you can see here, it's an interceptor binding. So with this library here, let me show it to you, you are able to use in whatever you want, okay? Another point is, if you wish, you are able to use a counter of Pokemons. So imagine right now, we want to counter the number of Pokemon that we have here. So Pokemon counter, I will create this class here where I have my application scope, and you are able to use cache, right? So it's usually happens. So able to do a cache using the specification. So a string and the integer where I have my Pokemon counter. Basically what I need to do inject by CDI and store the cache. Why? Because this guy here will inject everything else for you. What you can do the count. So public int count. I know that's not the perfect sample. That is one that comes from my mind, especially because it's one on the Pokemon theme. I need to make it transactable, so I use the star one, and then do the magic stuff, right? So what I need to do is take the counter, do the get with the Pokemon. If it returns empty, I want to return a 0 because empty 0 in my counter, right? So counter, not quantity. Again, that's the right term. So I have my Pokemon quantity, and what did you do? Quantity plus plus. And by the way, if I want to improve this, you're able to do the map int or something like that. No, let's simplify. We're able to do this way here. Remember the effective Java, and then do this counter, put a Pokemon here, and then my quantity to finally return my quantity. And yes, we have more methods if you want to explore more. But anyway, let's use this. So right now I have the quantity, and imagine right now I want to show the names and the string. So have my map string integer get Pokemon's score, where basically what I will do, I will create exactly this thing here. I will copy paste. And then in the counter, I will do a for each long life to lambdas here. And what I will gonna do, I have my Pokemons. I will do the put where the P will be my key and the value. And then finally return my Pokemons. Okay, I will create a second app. And right now, I will use a Pokemon counter. To do this kind of thing. So I just know Pikachu. Karina, give me another one. By the way, type for me, please.
Armando.
Charmander.
Squirtle, the basic
No,
one.
this one's hard to type.
Charmander.
Okay.
I can type it down.
Please do it. So let's put a couple Pikachus here, and then do the counter with the Pokemon score.
Don, I have sent some names on the chat.
Bulbasaur. Squirtle. Let's run here again. Hopefully it will work.
Very cool. So it counted 3 Pikachus.
Yes, so let's run again. Okay, it should count more. So let me check what's going on here. Pokemon counter, the store cache, microstring true. So the idea here, I need to check what's going on, but the idea is to store, it's right, what's going on. To take this and use the cache, we're able to explore this option here, store equal true, and then store this information for us. So instead of, uh, put the cache just in memory and then lost, you're able to explore the microstring to also persist that information. But I'm not sure each version it has this one. Okay, I
Okay.
need to check.
And
But
what about that lab that was not working? Should we just fix it and then open to the last lab?
yes, let's go. Mainly because we received a PR. So basically, just to the uh, a brief about microstring. So it's a one nice way to do persistence where you're able to use with key with on memory. That means it be faster than any kind of solution. It's a ultra fast. It has this API here that is the microstring integration CDI, where we're able to use microstring with any kind of CDI engine. So if you want to use with Helidon, go for it. OpenLibet, go for it. Payara, go for it, and so on. Okay, there is a big issue with that. Okay, and we have two options. So we're able to use the root that I showed to you, and also as a cache, where with couple annotation we are able to handle that. One thing that I'm missing right now is this version, because the idea is to store the cache on the data system or whatever you define, right? Remember, if you want, we should use SQL, no SQL, or a blob store. You're able to handle that. It's and have a choice. Okay, and that is it. So if you have any question, please let us know. And the highlight here about microservice is okay. Test it out, and it's really worth to try microstring.
Should us now review the PR just to wrap up that final lab that was not working?
Yes, yes. So are you sharing your screen? No, yes, maybe. Who knows?
You can go ahead.
Okay, let me check the PR here. So thank you for the contribution. Ah, you already merged
No, but there
this.
is one. Let me share the link on the Labs Foundation. This
This one
one.
belongs to Lab Foundation.
Wait. Refresh your page. Yeah, there. This guy's a big.
Oh, nice, nice. That's nice. Okay. So I'm not sure if I do have the. Okay, ignore my downloads here. Yes, I need to organize my computer. MicroString Foundation, do I have here? No, I don't, because I deleted it. Why did you delete it? Just to make sure that every class I can explore my imagination instead of use the same example all the time. I have this thing here. So it's the update, right? If the testing passed, wait, you don't have passed. You don't have tests.
No,
Let's
there's
first create the action here. So let's come here. No publish, but with Maven, it's Java 11, right?
mm-hmm.
So I will commit. Don't do that in production. Let's see if it will work. No.
I think you need to push something for it to run, or you can go to actions and try to see if you can run it manually on the actions tab.
So, okay, it's one word again. But anyway, right now we have tests. Let's merge the idea. It's a good one, right? Because I'm checking if there is a product. If there is, I am able to delete and then add again. Let's merge. Let's confirm this merge. And then cd Helidon microstring training
Labs foundation, yeah.
foundation. I will do a pull. I will download the whole internet here and then open my IDE. Labs foundation. Do you remember each one?
No, you need to check on the PR. Let me see.
My store rest.
Acme
The
Store
restaurant?
Rest, yes. Acme Store Rest.
Yeah,
Ah,
Acme.
okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. You can trust me, Otavio. You can trust me and Victor.
I trust in Victor, but not you.
Uh-huh, see.
Okay, I have my product here. It's a nice way approach. It's download the whole internet. It's done because I have the whole dependency here. So let me execute.
On the issue, there are the how to reproduce steps. Also on the pull request, let me see if it was linked to
And
the
that's
issue.
fun because we're supposed to test it first and then merge the code. But anyway,
Otavio, I will share the link to the issue so you can see the, yeah, you already have it there.
so let's use this one here. Package. Woohoo! Let's download the whole internet here.
Thank you, Vladimir, for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed the session, and we will be available on all the social media. So if you ever have any question or want to discuss something, please reach out to us. It was great to have you here. We don't plan to share more content. This was the last content of the day, and we are going to open for a lab after this. So thank you so much.
Oops. No handle found path. What's going on? Probably the port, right?
No, it's 8081. What is, let me see the error. No handler found for pet post 81 / products. That's correct. Okay. No, I know what's happening. It's because you fixed on the lab and you will not be able to test it because this is the boilerplate code for them to finish the session. The only way to test it is actually by adding this code to the solution. But don't worry, I will do that later.
Ah, okay. One way is nice, but another way might be because it's a collection, right? So I can do the new Java methods here. So I can do something like products, remove if. So I can do, so I will remove and then I will include. So remove if this product here, this name, is equal to this product cat name.
It's exactly the implementation of the delete by ID method below, provided by you. This remove if call.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and I thought if instead of doing first always doing a remove if and then a add, let's try the add, and if it is successful, then it's fine. And only if the add operation is
Yes.
fails, then do it
Delete
again.
and
So
then, yes, it makes more sense.
it's trying. Yeah, it's trade-off trying to do the optimal, the
Yes, it's more optimized.
the least amount of operations. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Good idea. Thank you for your contribution. Awesome.
You're welcome.
Karina, what else we
Oi.
need to do?
It's dark. It's getting dark.
It's dark.
Here. So next, let me share my screen again. So this is what we have for the rest of the day. Okay. First of all, we would like to thank everyone who joined us for these 2 days. We know it's not easy to find this free time in our daily jobs to learn new stuff. So it's great that you could be here with us. We hope that you could have learned new stuff. And also we appreciate all the knowledge sharing that you've done with us. As for now, there is one last lab that is the NoSQL persistence for Java services, where you are able to try out and learn how you can configure your application to save data on a MongoDB. For this lab, you will need Docker because Mongo can be started pretty easily and simply using Docker. So if you have Docker locally or any other way to run images like Podman or anything like that, you can just run this image here, the Mongo one. And yeah, just try it out. If you have any questions, let us know. If you have to drop, don't worry, it's okay. The recordings will be sent for you. I'm not on LinkedIn. Okay, thank you, Victor, for sharing. Let me open on the other screen so I don't miss it. The recordings will be sent to you after a couple of days as informed by the organizers of the session. And we hope you enjoyed, and we hope we can see also each other on any upcoming sessions that might be planned later on. So also keep, if you want, you can start the repository there and make sure that you keep track of what's going on. You can also send PRs for new labs, fixes, anything that you want to contribute with. This is the beauty of open source.
Yes,
and again,
we are always here to learn, to explore ideas. So that's why we're happy with Victor's contribution, because we're able to learn from more and more people.
So thank you so much, guys. And now we will open for the lab and we'll be here if you need us. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.